Well, technical difficulties. Don't know what to tell you, my friends.
Well, it's okay because I can
Why is it okay, Boomer?
I just started hearing my echo. Okay, no, because May the 4th be with you, huh?
Oh, screw that.
you
Dumb. That's more of a made-up holiday than like Valentine's Day.
used to like Star Wars. What happened?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you what happened. It was Disney that happened. That's what happened.
We're all fine. Welcome, Big Al. What is he saying? Rest in peace, Ruth. Yeah, Ruth.
Yeah, Ruth
Busey.
Buzzy.
We'll be
Exactly.
talking
We'll
about
talk
her a
about
little
that.
bit.
Absolutely.
Chris P, welcome. Good evening, gents. Have a great stream. I'm outside doing some gardening and we'll be listening. Gardening at this hour?
Well, what's his time zone?
I don't know, but I always had digging a garden in the middle of night because maybe you have to bury a significant other under cover of dark. I'm kidding. There was an Unsolved Mysteries once, right, where this guy was digging a garden in the middle of winter, and the neighbors kept saying, "Why are you digging a garden in the middle of winter? Go mind your business." And of course, his wife had gone on to see her sister for a number of months, right, and they hadn't seen her. You know what was
Yeah.
going on? He was burying the wife in the garden in the middle of winter. You
Oh
understand?
gosh.
It was such a bad episode. And like the police didn't know what happened to him. And like his nephew saying, "Look, I know he's my uncle, but I believe in rule of law. I'm sorry. If he did something, we have to bring him to justice." And he's all, and like they're interviewing everybody. And then like they do an update. Turns out the dogs didn't sniff far enough. He had offed himself in the woods like a little ways from where the dogs had decided to stop looking. It
Oh
was
my
such
gosh.
a bad episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Anyway, that's what you get instead of music tonight. Okay, you get to hear me reminiscing about a horrible Unsolved Mysteries
Wonderful.
episode. Welcome, Crispy. I'm sure you're doing gardening in the daylight or at night. Maybe you're sticking a potato in the ground or something. I don't know. But welcome everybody. Jessica Hardo. He could be digging a hole for his Star Wars Disney collection. Well,
Well, right.
I hate to say this. I don't know if I want to bring this up with you. It might be a sore spot. Did you purchase any Disney Star Wars merchandise before you turned on it?
Well, I'll tell you, I still from time to time do buy stuff. In
Because you can
fact,
repurpose it as other figures. That's
I
right.
absolutely well, and they still do sell stuff that is, classic.
Well,
And
that's not the same thing. I meant stuff in the new trilogy,
for
like Kylo.
example,
Yeah.
I went to purchase an item that went on sale from Hasbro today. It was a pre-sale, and it was a recreation of the old Sears exclusive Cantina, the 4 action figures, including the blue
Yeah.
Snaggletooth. And I was gonna get it, but by the time I got there, it was sold out. Isn't that wonderful? All the scalpers got it, so it's probably going for $120 on eBay right now.
Well,
May the force be effing with you.
that's okay. The scalpers turned their attention to the Switch too. I'm sure with that. That was
Very
a
possibly.
fiasco. The
Very
pre-orders
possibly.
for that. We didn't even cover that in the story section because I just didn't care enough. But man, that was a disaster. People not getting their stuff. People were going on like Target, Best Buy, Amazon, Walmart at the same time, and everything was getting screwed up, and no one was getting their Switch too. At the same time, though, everyone's complaining about the price. Why are you pre-ordering it? I'm just saying.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
complain about the price and you buy it, then I don't want to hear you complain about the price anymore. You make a
But
decision.
what
You're either okay with it or you're not.
But
Hi.
what I am going to say is that as far as May the 4th and Disney Star Wars goes, I really hope that every single one of you will take the time. I'm going to drop the link right now. Go check out Retro Blasting's deep dive into Rogue One, which I think most people believe to be the best that Disney Star Wars has produced, and I still agree that it is, but it is still a very flawed movie. And Michael gets into basically what could have been. He does some speculating based on a forensic dig on clips and promos and things that he has a pretty good idea what might have happened before Gilroy got a hold of it.
We had a
So
completely different movie, I think, right?
in a lot of ways, it was, yeah.
I liked Jimmy Smits making a cameo in it, though.
I agree, and but here's the thing about it. It's like everybody had different characterizations, different lines. In fact, hey, tell me, guys, are you guys enjoying that Andor show that's on Disney right now? Well, the speculation is that the character of Andor, as he's depicted, that was actually the characterization that was intended for Jyn Erso until Gilroy rewrote her. So what we should be having right now is a Jyn Erso series rather than an Andor series, but
that might have made more sense, actually. Maybe that'll be coming later.
Exactly. I doubt it. Well, not with the way Andor's doing now. It's not doing well. People are turning against Star Wars, at least Disney Star Wars. Well, and I mean that, turning against Disney because look, they just re-released the Revenge of the Sith and it did really, really well. So people like pre-Disney Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that people said it was a really good time in the theater too. Age Boomer, have you seen the video where Skeletor is promoting the Nintendo Switch 2? I have not seen that. I'll have to look for it. Thank you. Season 2 replaced Jimmy Smits with what? What are they talking about? Why? See, here's what I don't understand. Okay, I understand what he's saying. Okay, Andor season 2 replaced Jimmy Smits as I guess the King of Alderaan, right? They replaced the actor. Jimmy Smits, as far as I know, is still alive, correct? So I don't know why they couldn't get him back for a cameo on the Andor series. But they resurrect Peter Cushing as a CG creation instead of having a different actor play him in Rogue One. Nothing makes sense. I'm sorry. I'm fine. I'm fine.
No,
everything's fine.
You're fine, but Disney's not fine. That's absolute certainty.
Well, let's get into the presentation.
Let's do that.
We got a lot of news to cover tonight. I'm swearing we've had floods lately. It's weird. It's like a bittersweet thing happened this week that I've been waiting 10 years for, but finally happened. But I'll say what that is when we get to it, though.
All right.
Take your time.
But Oh, right. I just got to change this to the presentation. My apologies. I forgot. I just had to click that little button there. There we go.
Geeky Geezers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And what the heck? Did I put that there?
Is this from last week? Did I put up the wrong one?
Either I gave you the wrong one.
It says 4.6. Oh, that is wrong.
Okay. Let me make sure I didn't send you the old one. But anyway, how y'all doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing really, really well here.
Double check to make sure you have the right one. Go with I sent you two. Go with the prior one. It's okay if we have the prior news story.
Let me bring it up.
Just
bear with me, Vamp.
Bear with us. Maybe I sent you one of the old ones by accident, but you should have two in there. One had an extra story in it that we decided to cut tonight because I just didn't feel like covering the Kingdom Come 2 reveals. I'm just over it at this point. But all the joys of the live show. You got it?
Got it.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
I think I did download the wrong one. Give me a second.
It's all right. I might have given you the wrong one too. I don't know. But I'm just getting over a very difficult semester. Not a trimester, because, anyway, I'm just, you need the technical difficulty stream. We need the technical difficulty stream with the Monty Python and the Holy Grail music when things would go wrong.
Right.
And the show is already very funny, FKHC 2005, otherwise known as Tim.
Otherwise known as I'm going to kick you in the...
Look, man, we're just reminiscing, having a nice May the 4th. I'm gonna celebrate May the 5th. Hopefully tomorrow by going. I'm gonna take my mom out. We're gonna go see The Accountant 2. Have you seen The Accountant 1?
I have not. I've heard good things, however.
I enjoyed it. I rewatched that over the weekend, and I'm going to watch the sequel because I want to go to a movie theater and see a movie I actually want to see instead of nonsense. So there we go.
Yeah.
Speaker
Good,
connected.
good.
Look at that. Don't worry. It just may take a half hour for this thing to upload because it's so many slides. We
It
have a
is
lot
a
of
lot of
stories
slides,
to cover tonight. We're going to end with some quotes from the great Mamoru Oshii, who
Well, yeah, he's got some things to say.
I decided to knock out the Trump stuff, even though I know he's odd. He's an odd duck. And for starters, the problem with Japan is, too, I think they have their people on the right and their people on the left, but I don't think it manifests in the same way as it does here in America or even in Europe. For instance, I could swear from older conversations he had back in the early 2000s, the aughts, that he was almost pro Bush, pro Iraq war. It seemed, but that struck me as odd if he was someone who came from the left over there. So I wasn't quite sure what was going on there. But yeah, I decided to cut out his Trump things. But he did make a point that he thinks Trump is celebrated because he came out against political correctness, which I think there's some truth to that. I'll admit that. But what happened? There's nothing here.
I know. I don't know why. Give me a second.
Okay, it's fine. We'll be fine, people. Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips, welcome. I believe Troy is going to be on with you soon for the Tron rewatches.
I was on with him for Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Troy, I switched Star Wars and doing Revenge of the Sith. Okay.
That's wrong.
I remember Revenge of the Sith. That had that had the story of, what was it, Darth Plagueis, as I recall.
Darth Plagueis the Wise, yes.
Darth Plagueis the Wise. When they were watching that weird opera thing.
Why is it not showing at all? I don't understand.
I don't know either. Do you need to create a new scene, maybe?
I don't know. I've been having problems all day today. The outro wasn't playing when we came in. The intro wouldn't play. I don't know what's going on.
Relax. We can always go without the presentation if need be. Oh, dad joke. Why did the angry Jedi cross the road to get to the dark side? Thank you, Geek Flag. Do you get that?
Yeah. I'm not touching it. Can you?
I'm going to do it.
Does it work?
I'm going to see. Look at that. Okay. Yes. Good old days.
I'm not messing with it now. Jeez.
It's okay. Chill out.
We could use a laugh in, let me tell you.
Well, that's because you have. Now, I remember this show vaguely. This is our good old days. And I'm trying to explain to you kids what Laugh-In was. I believe it was a sketch comedy show, almost like a proto Saturday Night Live. Is that right? No.
Okay. Well, no. It's
proto Monty Python.
I guess that's not a bad analogy. There's similarities to Monty Python. There's a lot of inspiration from vaudeville. Let me kind of get into it. I got my notes here. I got myself, at least this part I got together. So Rowan Martin's Laugh-In, or eventually you just end up calling it Laugh-In, was a sketch comedy show that ran from 68 to 73 on NBC, hosted by straight man Dan Rowan and dumb guy Dick Martin. Those were the characters they played. Think like Laurel and Hardy. Think Martin and Lewis. That kind of a dynamic. Originally a one-time special on September 9th of 1967, it was such a success that it was brought back as a series, replacing, sorry, Netter, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Yeah, I know. The title of the show was a play on the 1960s hippie culture love-ins, derived from the sit-ins common in protests associated with civil rights and anti-war demonstrations of the time. In the pilot episode, Dan Rowan explained the show approach being how they wanted you to sit back and laugh and forget about the other ins. The show featured Gary Owens as the on-screen radio continuity announcer and an ensemble cast. Ruth Buzzy was part of the ensemble throughout the show's run, while others included Judy Carney, Harry Gibson, Goldie Hawn, Artie Johnson, Joanne Worley, who we featured in a special in remembrance on this channel a while back. Alan Suze, Lily Tomlin, Dennis Allen, and Richard Dawson. Richard Dawson, you might remember from the Family Feud, or from was he? It was
Running Man.
Hogan's Heroes.
He might have been in Hogan's Heroes. He was in The Running Man with Arnold.
He was in Running Man.
Dawson,
Richard Dawson.
He was in Hogan's Heroes.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, if you want an interesting
Family Feud.
If you want an interesting movie about Hogan's Heroes, you can watch the movie Autofocus about Bob Crane.
Okay.
It's a little disturbing.
Laugh-In was designed to be very lightly structured and consisted mainly of short comedy sketches. Some of these would reappear multiple times throughout an episode with variations on a theme, while others involved recurring characters created by the cast. In others, the cast members and guest stars would simply appear as themselves, delivering jokes and reacting to the previous sketch. In addition to the announced guest stars or stars of the evening, some recurring guests would appear unannounced multiple times throughout a season. A trademark of the series was its blackout sketches, often involving rapid-fire cuts between two or more scenes or camera angles set to a 6-note musical string. These were used as transitions into and out of commercial breaks, among other things. The show started with a batch of sketches leading into Gary Owen's introduction segment, in which the cast and announced guest star or stars would appear behind open doors on the show's iconic psychedelically painted joke wall. Owens would also insert offbeat lines in his monotone deadpan style in the introductions and occasionally throughout the episode, generally facing a microphone to his side with one hand cupped over his ear. After more short sketches leading into and out of the first commercial break, Rowan and Martin would walk in front of the show's home base set to introduce the show and have a dialogue generally consisting of Martin frustrating Rowan by derailing his attempts to do a proper introduction via misunderstanding or digression, or, like us, because of technology. Eventually, Rowan would end the introduction and invite the audience to the cocktail party. This live-to-tape segment consisted of all cast members and occasional surprise celebrities dancing before a 1960s mod party backdrop, delivering 1- and 2-line jokes interspersed with a few bars of dance music. Another weekly segment was Laugh-In Looks at the News, which began with the female cast members singing the segment's opening theme in a different costume set piece each week, often with the help of the guest stars. The news varied in presentation over the years, but the earlier season started with Martin reading the news of the present, with Rowan providing news of the future, and the sketches depicting the news of the past. Alan Suze, as his Big Al character, not our Big Al, but Alan Suze's Big Al, would provide a typical clueless sports report. Mod World was a group of sketches introduced by Rowan and Martin that fit into the announced theme. This segment is notable for being interspersed with film clips from some of the female cast members, most frequently Connie and Hawn, performing go-go dancing in bikinis to the segment's burlesque-inspired theme, with the camera periodically zooming into jokes or images that had been painted onto their bodies. The segment also usually included an additional musical number based on the topic, performed by cast members at the beginning and the end of the segment, as well as in short bridges between the sketches. At the end of every show, after a final dialogue, Rowan would turn to his co-host and say goodnight, Dick, to which Martin would reply, "Good night, Dick," leading into the final joke wall segment. The cast would pop out of their doors and either tell a joke to the camera, to each other, or to Rowan and Martin, who stood in front, or just yell out, "Good night, Dick." This would lead into and continue under the closing credits. There would be one final batch of sketches, including a closing appearance from Owens. Up until the finale of season 4, the last gag would be Artie Johnson's character, Wolfgang, the German soldier. He would slowly rise from some plant, look into the camera, and say with a thick German accent, "Very interesting." This would bring the episode to a conclusion. Almost. The very last thing the television audience would hear is one pair of hands clapping several seconds after the credits had rolled. This was the conclusion of almost every show up to the season 5 finale. For season 6, the television audience would hear a woman laughing. That was Ruth Buzzy, very strangely long after the credits had rolled. Now, there's 2 segments that I remember very strongly. Very difficult to explain, but I'll see if you get the shtick. These were recurring. "Sock it to me." Judy Carn was often tricked into saying the phrase, "It may be nice wine to you, but it's sake to me." Or, of course, it would be pronounced in the American sake. So, "sake to me." If you remember, if you are a little bit younger than we are and you remember the Canadian show You Can't Do That on Television,
Yes.
They had a very similar shtick. If you said, "I don't know," you'd get hit with green slime. If you said water or wet or anything like that, you'd get hit with a bucket of water. If you said "sock it to me," which the inevitable result would inevitably result in her or other cast members falling through a trap door, being doused with water, or playfully assaulted in various other manners. Thus, "sock it to me." The phrase was also uttered by many of the cameo guests, most notably Richard Nixon. Look for that one out there on YouTube.
Holy
Richard
cow.
Nixon on stage going, "Sock it to me," though they were almost never subjected to the same treatment as Carney. The phrase was retired after Carney left the series. In the last season, where Alan Suze was a regular, he would be the one who got water thrown on him after a ticking alarm clock went off. Now, the other sketch that I remember, here we go. I trust my audience not to be, snowflakes. I know you guys can handle the humor. Stay with me, folks. If you don't like it, feel free to hit the thumbs down. That's fine. Here comes the judge. The judge, originally portrayed by British comic Roddy Maud Roxby, was a stuffy magistrate with a black robe and oversized judge's wig. Each sketch featured the judge trading barbs with the defendant brought before him. On delivery of the punchline, he would strike the defendant with an inflated bladder balloon tied to the sleeve of his robe. Guest stars Flip Wilson or Sammy Davis Jr. would introduce the sketch saying, "Here come the judge." I can't speak in the vernacular, which was a valuable catchphrase, which was a venerable catchphrase by nightclub comedian Pigmeat Markham. Surprised that his trademark had been appropriated, Markham asked producer George Schlater to let him play the judge himself. Schlater agreed, and Markham presided for the first half of the second season. After Markham left, the sketch was briefly retired until Sammy Davis Jr. donned the judicial robes and wig during his guest appearance, making the role his own. The character was introduced as the Right Honorable Samuel Davis Jr., or Right On for short. Right On. Okay. Davis introduced each sketch with a spokesman verse like, for example, if your lawyer is sleeping, better give him a nudge. Everybody look alive, because here come the judge. Davis would then strut off the stage chanting, "Here come the judge, here come the judge."
Huh.
And yeah, that was Rowan Martin's laughing. I kind of can't even cover it all. I'm just giving you the basics. I would encourage people. There are clips of it out there on YouTube. I'm sure there's stuff all over the place. Yep, there's Lily Tomlins and Owens, and yeah.
They used to have it on Nick at Night, right? I believe they show it.
They did run on Nick at Night I think that's where I saw it.
Yeah.
And when I did, of course, there's a very, very young Goldie Hawn as she appeared throughout her time on the show. She played the ditzy, silly blonde, high pitched. She had this great giggle, very mod haircut. Yeah,
there are little nods to this show in the first Austin Powers movie. I remember.
I'm sure there are.
I remember there was even a scene where I think Austin Powers is giving sake, and he says, "Oh, sake it to me." He says that,
Yeah. To me. Well, see, that's where it came from. He literally is lifting that joke.
No snowflakes here, he says. No snow.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Nate. Because the underlying theme, if you were paying attention to who I was saying played the judge, it was always a racially based thing. But, guys, it is okay to laugh about our differences, okay? That's good-natured. That is not okay, guys?
Yes.
Can we agree on that?
And
past all that
I believe that's Goldie Hawn, and to the right is
that is Ruth Buzzy. She was ubiquitous in the 70s. Of course, most people knew her from this.
Yeah.
And look, all of these Art Carney was another one. We'll talk more about it when we get to the next segment. Let's go on. And why were we talking about Rowan Martin's laugh?
Unfortunately, we have some news for tonight. Let me go over to it now. Unfortunately, Ruth Buzzy, laughing comedian, dies at age 88. I'm telling you, we are losing. I feel like every week we're losing one of the classics, and it's unfortunate.
It is so acute in my opinion because, it's always going to be a tragedy when we lose people that were so much a part of our childhood, our history, that we have fond memories of. And that were such classic entertainers. The biggest problem is I don't see the talent coming behind them. Actually, when it comes to comedy, even if the talent exists, you're not allowed to be funny. I had to make all of these protestations as I was trying to talk about the one segment that might be culturally insensitive these days. Darn it. Comedy has to offend if it's going to be really, really funny.
I think we had a lot of up and coming comedians. I think many of them got canceled.
Yeah, or they canceled themselves and said, "I'm not even wading into this."
I remember the actor who I forget his name, but he was on Silicon Valley. He was on he was in the Deadpool movies, the first two. He was the guy with the hair and the beard and all that. I thought he was like a modern day like Jim Belushi or
I honestly feel like people look for reasons to be offended and look for reasons to say that person is bad because. I don't think it would be a challenge for me to come up with anything to sock it to Ruth Buzzy, but she had one character where she played this frumpy old woman with a hairnet, and it was a recurring character for her. In fact, she reprised the role in a cartoon series for Saturday morning called Baggy Pants and the Nitwits. I don't know if that's mentioned in this article, but it's a fond memory of mine. Art Carney reprises one of his characters in that cartoon as well. And I could see people, getting bent out of shape. She's playing an old woman, and that's offensive to old people or
Oh,
something. I don't know.
please.
You know.
Ruth Buzzy, though, she has died at age 88. The actress best known for a Golden Globe winning and Emmy nominated stint on 1968-1973 sketch comedy series Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. Her family announced the news of her May 1st death in a post on Facebook, sharing that she died peacefully in her sleep at home in Texas. Buzzy had been in hospice care for several years with Alzheimer's disease, the post revealed. Buzzy suffered a series of strokes in July 2022 and left her bedridden and incapacitated, according to her husband, Ken Perkins, who kept Buzzy's friends and fans updated via Facebook. Ruthie is struggling with serious health issues. Prognosis is not encouraging, he wrote on Facebook at the time, but she still enjoys life, reading your messages and looking at photos you post. Amazing. She absolutely remembers all her friends and family and smiles when I read your birthday messages and wishes to her every day. But it's interesting. He goes on to say, share details of this year. She doesn't want a cake. She wants pie with candles again, like last year, but not chocolate meringue this time. Apple crunch pie with vanilla ice cream.
Well, she knows what she wants, I guess.
Yes. But no, I mean, we'll miss her. I mean, she, like you said, she was a mainstay in the 70s, though. I did want to leave, though. Buzzy and Perkins did not have any children, which she joked about in 2015 tweet. I would have probably had kids, but my cat's allergic.
That's the kind of joke that I would imagine her.
I know it's sad though, but the thing is, the problem with comedy these days is people are afraid to make comedies because of getting canceled. I mean, look
well,
Jerry Seinfeld was talking about that all this time.
Look at the joke you just shared of hers, right?
Yes.
She's taking something that probably is pretty painful in her life.
Probably.
How do you respond to it? You make a joke.
Yes, that's what you do.
This is and this is why you'll see so many, for example, overweight comedians make fat jokes, and that one comedian that Netter really likes will make little people jokes because he's a little person, right? And he uses the struggles he has in his own life and makes fun of it, And what ends up happening? People that aren't of that type, they learn something about your life, and there's understanding, and they, will not be, as reticent to talk to you and come up to you and say, hey, how you doing? Whatever. I don't know.
Geek Flag with Nate No says you didn't have to mention me, Netter, but that story, but I appreciate it. No, that's okay. Well, you submitted it to us. We might have missed this if not for your suggestions. Feel free to suggest people if you have something that we might be overlooking.
Absolutely.
But rest in peace, Ruth, and check out her stuff. You'd be amazed what you can find on Tubi. I'll say this.
She was one of those. If you go through the IMDb, I was looking back and realizing how many things I had seen her in. And probably at the time, it's Ruth Buzzy. She would guest star on Love Boat, and I don't know, just
Fantasy Island. I'm sure she showed up on Fantasy Island.
Geek Flag has decided to continue on with Midget Please.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw that and I just started laughing.
Exactly.
Welcome, Curtis Selby. All right.
Oh, welcome, Curtis Selby. Yep. Oh, so speaking of, being offended so easily.
This is a little ridiculous. This reminds me of the story that, let me read this story and then we'll get into it. Why Disney censored an episode of Gargoyles. Although Disney released Gargoyles in 1994, the show could not be more dissimilar to the whimsical production company. The animated show follows a group of nocturnal gargoyles who transform into vigilantes as soon as the sun goes down. Thus, the series handles a lot of different themes, most of which could challenge any popular superhero show. Well, frankly, I felt this was Disney's answer to the Batman the Animated Series. I think they got taken a little back by that. In fact, I would argue in between Batman the animated series and Superman the animated series, you could have done a lot worse than watching gargoyles. But anyway, while the show is often praised for its dark themes and gritty overlays, it seems that Disney has had a tendency to take these motifs too far. Very early on in season 1, a thought-provoking episode was censored, which essentially weakened its entire message. Yet a lot of audiences have noticed that the original cut is available to stream once again, emphasizing the show's overall impact. In season 1, episode 8, Deadly Force, Broadway becomes obsessed with the latest Western movie and spends most of his days imitating the leading man. He swoops across the city skyline, pretending to shoot the little people down below, indicating that he is looking up to this gruff figure. Meanwhile, Eliza is keen to track down a local thug named Tony Dracon because she believes he was responsible for stealing a collection of dangerous weapons. After a tough day at work, Eliza heads home and Broadway floats up to her window and essentially invites himself in. While she's busy cooking dinner, Broadway plays with her gun, again pretending to be the lead in the infamous Western movie. Greg Weisman discusses how Dynamite Entertainment's Gargoyles comic fits into events set up by his iconic cartoon and post-cancellation comic runs. Suddenly the gunfire... Oh, sorry, that was an unrelated thing. Suddenly the gun fires and Eliza falls to the floor. The gargoyle quickly takes her to the hospital and isolates himself out of fear and shame. When Goliath learns that his friend has been shot, he is determined to track down the assumed suspect, the previously mentioned gangster Dracon. But after cornering all of the criminals in a warehouse, Broadway admits that he's to blame. As such, Goliath ties the men up and takes Broadway to the hospital to see Eliza. Luckily, she survived the life-saving surgery, and the creatures return to stone outside her hospital window as they try to keep her safe. You know what's interesting? I suspect that Goliath might have killed Dracon until Broadway admitted what he did.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't normally do that, I think this is something that might have set him off to kill the bad guy. But as fans expect, Disney wasn't exactly keen on the episode's constant references to gun violence and removed the episode from rotation almost immediately after it aired. Fortunately, the animators swept in just in time and managed to produce an edited version that would be shown as it reruns on other Disney channels like Disney XD and Toon Disney. In the censored version of Deadly Force, the audience doesn't see Eliza in a pool of blood because the camera just zooms into a close-up of her face. The scene also cuts straight to Broadway, taking her straight to the hospital, again to remove the sight of any blood. Brooklyn was supposed to have his own spin-off show called... Okay, sorry. However, fans noted that a censored version is now available on Disney+. The camera shows Eliza in a pool of blood for a split second before producing a close-up on her face. When Broadway takes her to the hospital and places her on a stretcher, the audience sees his hands covered in blood, which wasn't available in the uncensored version. So while the latest version isn't as gory as the initial airing, it still has a lot of distressing scenes. Fans need to remember that this controversial episode occurred very early on in the show's first season. The first 4 episodes are part of a much wider arc called The Awakening. Here the audience learns how the gargoyles were transported from medieval Scotland to present-day New York, as well as the types of mythical beings they are forced to defeat. But Deadly Force shifts the story tremendously and is the first attempt at the show dealing with a real crime. But even as a show aimed at preteens, this episode doesn't hesitate to showcase the true extent of Eliza's injuries. Throughout her time at the hospital, the doctors repeatedly discuss her accident, commenting how the bullet nicked her heart and ricocheted to the base of her spine. Things go from bad to worse when she flatlines in the ICU, and the medical crew have to resuscitate her. Disney's Gargoyles is one of the best... Alongside all this medical talk, the episode shows Eliza's family crippled with anxiety and grief as the doctor tells her family that she may not survive the night. Her mother remains stoic and stays by her bedside to pray earnestly. Again, this is not the sort of thing fans would usually expect from a Disney cartoon. However, these graphic scenes are integral to the episode's message. I'm going to interject here, as it's my show. I remember this episode, and they didn't yank it right after. I would see this episode in reruns. This is the purpose of this episode. The purpose of this episode isn't even necessarily anti-gun. She's a police officer. She has a gun. It's about being responsible around guns.
Exactly.
About not using them as a toy, not playing around with them. And Eliza, when she recovers at the end of the episode, and Broadway's all apologetic, and she says, you know what, it was also my fault because I shouldn't have left the gun out for anyone to look at. You understand? She should have put it away, like in a safe spot, and not left it out. So it wasn't all on him, she said. And, you did see her in a little bit of blood by her side. Nothing in that episode was done in bad taste. It was just to show the kids or the audience, the preteen boys, which is what the show is aimed at, that, you can't treat real guns like toys. You have to be very careful with these. People can get hurt. That's the whole point of the episode. And I think that's a message anyone can agree with, right?
I
So,
can't help but think that the
yes.
same people that would want to censor something like this would censor every single episode of every show for the past 40, 50 years that would be classified as a very special episode.
Yes.
All of them, as cringy as they probably were, and preachy as they probably were coming from a very good place with a very good message.
Yeah, this is kind of the very special episode of Gargoyles in a way.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it wasn't badly done, though. In fact, Stanley made a thing that he once did an anti-drug Spider-Man comic to, like Peter Parker's friends, gets high and thinks he can fly, and Peter Parker has to knock some sense into him as he tries to jump out a window. And it's supposed to be an anti-drug element in a larger story. And the Comics Code Authority wouldn't put their thing on it because you mentioned drugs. I'm not telling the kids to take drugs. It's an anti-drug element in a wider story.
Honestly, though, it was the big two, DC and Marvel, pushing back against the comic book code, saying, "Look, you are working literally against what you purport to be doing." And stories like that, Iron Man's Demon in a Bottle storyline, the introduction of Speedy doing heroin.
That's right. I remember that.
I mean, there was a lot of those kinds of stories where a lot of the censor hounds started to go, yeah, you can't do an anti-drug message if you don't talk about drugs. So, just not talking about it is actually doing more damage than addressing it.
There's nothing in this episode I felt was handled in bad taste, and it was harmful for a kid to see. They might be scared to see one of their characters, lying near some blood, but she's okay. But it's just saying, you kids, you got to be careful around guns. People can get hurt. That's what it was saying. It's not even. And they brings on to say that she mentioned that she should have secured the gun in a safe place, especially as a police officer. But nobody's perfect. That's the whole point. But it's weird that this was censored. What?
Thank you, Darth Plato. It's not me. Usually it's you guys that get him to groan.
It's fine. But anyway, I was a big fan of Gargoyles. That was almost the good old days tonight, but we may do another good old days on this show in the future. But I was a big fan of the series when it was on. This is another show that I felt Disney raised up and made it great and then kind of destroyed it. Because
it's what Disney is doing to everything that they Disney used to make great stuff. I mean, the members last Monday, we just watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs again, and I'd forgotten how much I loved that.
It's a great movie. It's a classic. It's one of the greatest animated movies of all time. But
they remade it in live action, and they literally ruined every aspect of it. It's like they didn't even understand the story that they were mimicking.
That's true. But I remember though that the creator of this show made a point that he didn't realize how much creative control Disney actually gave him over the show until he finally had an argument with him and had to leave. But it's a lot of quality writing on this cartoon series. It's one of Disney's best creations, actually.
I loved what you were saying about the description of that episode. How does it? Because after when the sun comes up, they turn to stone, right?
Yes.
They're and where do they turn to stone?
They're defenseless in daytime. If you bust them up, they'll be dead. They won't come back. Like you,
right?
You just shatter them. Yeah, go ahead.
Where do they freeze? They're outside of her window, protecting her.
Yes,
which is what a gargoyle does, right?
Yeah, they're protectors. They made this point. They're protectors. In the first season, they protect the medieval castle, even though the princess and the I guess the wizard in the castle, they're very distrustful. They say these are unnatural creatures, but they're protecting the castle from the invading Vikings. And I'm not going to spoil it. It's a show well worth watching. The man who created it was the remember the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon series? Same showrunner that did this.
Oh yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Quality right. He also worked on Young Justice. Yeah.
Jonathan Conroy says the censorship hires need to validate their paycheck. It is getting worse in the live action games. uh, live action games takes the fun out of the game.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I do see it turning around. As the current administration begins getting rid of wasteful spending, laying off people that have redundant jobs and so forth, and specifically getting rid of all DEI
Did
policies
you
and departments, you're starting to see it happening at companies too.
did
So
you hear,
you're going to see a lot of this
did you hear
changing.
one of the
Yeah.
latest investigations was a bunch of money that was given to I want to say it was like alpaca farmers in I guess like El Salvador or something, like they were giving money and they were like,
Yeah.
yes, okay, and that's a lot of money to give them, yes, but it never even reached the farmers who were supposed to be,
No, and it
these
usually never does. And
so
that's the
even if you were in
problem.
favor of that, it doesn't get out to the people they're saying it's getting out to.
And and people need to keep in mind for all, and I'm kind of getting off on a tangent here, but you brought it up. Everyone's upset with Doge. Like, suddenly Elon Musk has some kind of power. That's not what Doge is doing. They're just shining the light on it. And it's Congress and the president that are acting on it the way the Constitution says we're supposed to. So,
Yeah. Madanu asked, didn't that episode not air originally? I can only speak from my personal experience. I was in Florida at the time. Perhaps they didn't air it in other states. Some states get skittish about stuff, but I know in Florida they aired, and it aired a few times. I remember seeing it because back in the day we didn't have streaming, so you would just watch the reruns when they came on. Oh, is it a new Gargoyles episode? Oh, it's a rerun. Well, I'll watch it anyway. What else am I going to do? So I remember seeing it at least a couple times on live TV, so I remember it.
but I agree with what you say about Disney and how they treat their properties, Gargoyles being one. And we were just talking about live action remakes, and you know, um, um,
I hope that's some CG image someone made with AI or something. Just I hope that's not from the
I,
actual show.
I'm pretty sure it is. But honestly, do you
Oh,
expect Disney to do any better?
I'm worried about this being live action. For starters, one thing I didn't understand when Disney acquired Marvel, why
Uh,
not just integrate gargoyles into the Marvel comic universe? I think they would fit in well there. I think you could make that work, but that's just me.
yeah.
One okay, so this is a quote from the show. But 1,000 years ago, superstition, the sword ruled. It was a time of darkness. It was a world of fear. It was it was the age of gargoyles, stone by day, warriors by night. Yes, okay. Following months of anticipation since its official announcement in October 2023, it seems the live-action adaptation of the beloved '90s animated series Gargoyles remains in development for Disney Plus. The project unites the creative forces of Gary Dauberman and James Wan's Atomic Monster, the production banner known for their successful collaborations on the Annabelle horror franchise. Now, I'll
Hmm,
say this for James Wan himself as a director. I'm not saying this for everyone that works under him, but I think he's a competent director. I always have. But
yeah.
Dauberman, who will helm the series as writer, executive producer, and showrunner, recently offered an encouraging update on the project. Speaking about the adaptation, the screenwriter also co-penned the screenplay for the recently released live-action Until Dawn video game film, emphasized his intention to capture the essence of what made the '90s after-school cartoon special. Oh yes, another beloved piece of IP, the new iteration of Gargoyles. The show was already pretty dark in that it was serialized, it was a mature thing, it's operatic, and the story was so epic, Doberman stated. He further elaborated on the desired atmosphere, saying, I'm hoping it's very similar to the vibe you get when you're watching it back in the late '90s. I just love that half hour of television falling into their world. I'm hoping we achieve that. It's a lot of fun, though. It's a thrill. I've heard nothing in these statements saying that he's ever seen an episode of the show. I'm sorry. Am I being too cynical?
No, I
A
mean
beloved
you're
piece of IP? That's like
yeah.
something someone in a marketing room would say. I don't.
It exactly is, and I mean, it sets my teeth on edge when someone refers to it as content or a piece of IP.
Okay.
Um,
If you watch Gargoyles, there's a lot of references to Shakespeare on the show. Did you know
yeah.
this?
Mm-hmm.
Macbeth is a recurring antagonist on the show from the Shakespeare play, though they do his story differently on Gargoyles. It's kind of like the play in reverse. It's kind of neat how they play around with it, actually.
Yeah.
Um, like he's more sympathetic on the show Gargoyles than he was portrayed in the play. But like, and you have other things like Oberon's Children, like a lot of Midsummer's Night's Dream references to like the Fae folk and things like that. So there's a lot of Shakespeare like references on this, and I'd like to ask this gentleman if he's ever read or seen a Shakespeare play. I hope he has, because
Yeah.
whoever makes the show needs to like Shakespeare. I'm really
I doubt
worried.
it,
I'm
but
really
we'll see.
worried about this. Okay. The original Gargoyles, which aired from 3 seasons under the Walt Disney Television Animation banner from 1994 to 1997, was a mature and somewhat dark animated series for the time. The show followed a clan of gargoyles transported from a Scottish castle to modern day New York City. Awakening after a 1,000-year spell, they dedicated themselves to protecting their new urban home. Fans of the animated series fondly remember actor Keith David's iconic voice portrayal of the gargoyle leader Goliath. Yes, he was the lead actor on this show. And while no casting announcements have been made for the live action series, there is widespread hope among the fan base that David will reprise his role, with many finding it difficult to envision any other actor embodying the character's commanding presence. It's kind of like Kevin Conroy's voice for Batman. It's rather iconic with this character.
Yeah.
Doberman's comments suggest that he's fully committed to honoring the darker, more mature themes that distinguished the original Gargoyles, promising a faithful adaptation for longtime fans and a new generation. So we'll see. I often felt like Goliath's personality, he reminded me a lot of Wonder Woman, like her outlook on the world. I sort of got that from him too, like a male version of Wonder Woman. I didn't want to pick on her, but she had she, at least as portrayed on Justice League, she had a kind of a one-note look at things. Like, she wasn't necessarily opposed to killing people. I noticed that. I think she did it out of respect for the Justice League and the fact that she's in the human world now. We don't do that thing. But I think, personally speaking, I don't know. Like, there's one scene on Gargoyles where there's Macbeth keeps attacking them over and over again, and Goliath finally Goliath attacks Macbeth and punches him through his stomach, and like, instead of it, but then you realize it's an android of Macbeth. It's not the actual Macbeth, but basically it looked like he was killing this villain that's been
and did he know at the time that it was
he
an
didn't.
android?
No, he didn't.
There you go.
Actually, he was set up. John Rhys Davies played the voice of Macbeth. The main villain, the main antagonist on the show, David Xanatos, was voiced by Jonathan Frakes, and the other big villain was Demona, who was a gargoyle that basically went evil. Her name was Marina Sirtis played her.
Yep.
And Brent Spiner was on it too. A lot of actors were on the show. A lot of Star Trek alum. Coleman Meaney even showed up in an episode. So it's a lot of Star Trek alum actors were on this show.
Well, sure. Who do you go to when you want someone with an Irish accent? You go to Coleman Meaney, right?
Oh yeah, it's not because that episode took place in Ireland. That's why it's not an android; it's a beta unit. Okay, but it was a show about parademons. No, I'm gonna tell you though, if you like the DC animated universe from that day, you'll like Gargoyles. They were kind of chewing on the same biscuit, if that was a good analogy, which it probably wasn't. Moving on, please don't make it bad, but I don't trust you because you're Disney Plus. Wow, so this is the thing I was alluding to at the beginning of the stream. I felt like this is long. Okay, Polygon sold to Valnet and hit with mass layoffs. As you know, the game journos, we've known about them. I'll read the article. Okay. The video game website Polygon has been sold to Click Farm powerhouse Valnet, and much of its masthead has been laid off, Kotaku has learned. The sale was subsequently announced in a press release.
Actually, you should probably front load this with the fact that this does come to us from Kotaku, so it might be a little biased.
Well, not only that, but who knows how much time Kotaku has left if they're getting rid of Polygon. Basically, it's over for the video game journalists, and considering the fact that I feel they made the gaming hobby and many gamers' lives miserable for the past 10 years, I'm sorry, I'm not sympathetic.
And I have to say that the new modern game journalists, we can praise them with the success.
Well, they're the YouTubers,
like Smash JT and so forth.
Yeah.
They've actively called out these journalists, and the chickens are coming home to roost, as they say.
Yeah, I'm no longer with Polygon. If you're hiring, please consider the many talented writers and editors now in the market. Posted Polygon co-founder and EIC, Chris Plant. Every one of them deserves a spot on your staff. I won't be talking more about this sale because I wasn't involved. Going to hang out with my kid, taking wins when I can. All right. Thank you. So I don't know. This is. I mean, let's be honest here. There was a little event years ago that may have ended with the word gate.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was because they wanted integrity in gaming journalism. That's what they said. And of course, all the gaming journals piled together and started attacking and basically just attacking the hobby in general with the whole gamers don't need to be your audience. And it was a big disaster. And now I feel like finally these people are now just, they're gone. It's weird. It's like it doesn't go out with a bang. It goes out with a whimper, I guess. And it's funny that this is happening at a time in the hobby where we may be hitting an industry crash, but
they've really brought it on themselves, and we'll talk about more reasons why that might be. I appreciate what Nate says here. I don't like celebrating someone's misfortune, but Polygon going down, thank the Lord Almighty. See, I understand what you're saying.
They've been truly horrible. Yes, go ahead.
I understand not celebrating someone's misfortune, but at the same time, there is a certain amount of righteous indignation, a certain amount of schadenfreude that you look at and you go, you know what? You got this coming to you, and it's as satisfying as lancing a boil. No one likes that. It's disgusting. It's painful, but the relief you feel is immeasurable. That's what this is like.
I've heard other sites have been hit too.
Like a root canal, yeah. It's hard to go through, but once it's done, the relief is a blessing.
Stone cold gaming journalists effed around and found out. Yeah, but it took how long for this to happen? This should have happened years ago. I had no idea how they were making money. They were just writing opinion pieces, inserting politics in everybody and shaming the audience, and it took this long. And I'm probably being too nice on them, to be honest with you. I think they were probably a lot worse than what I'm letting on here. And it's been a long time coming, but basically they don't provide a useful service, and it's over. Time to go.
It may sound like a divergence, but it's really not. I was talking earlier about the Rogue One piece that Retroblasting just put out. And one of the things he was talking about in the after party was that a lot of the sources he was going to phrase things, and he was getting, raw material from them and information. And he understood, because of the tone that they were using, that they were authoritative. And he started using a lot of their material only to realize they were just taking opinions and expressing them as facts. He had to go back and reevaluate everything he had looked at, and redo large segments of it as his research as he was doing this and reframing that. And in his own thing, he's like, I make it clear when I'm expressing an opinion and when I am or a supposition. I this is the facts I have, and this is what I'm guessing based on those facts.
Yes.
But that doesn't make them facts in and of themselves.
No, it doesn't. Like Troy and I have our own opinions too. And we do try to report on. I mean, I would argue this is an opinion show anyway, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we bring you the news as someone else has reported it, and then we give our opinions about it. But how biased or unbiased those sources are, we try to mediate that. I pointed out at the beginning of this one, this one's coming to you from Kotaku, so take that as you will.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, I don't know if anybody care at this point, but I know that the main guy, Jason Schreier, he ended up working for either Forbes or Bloomberg. I think he moved on to there, so he got out while the getting was good. To be fair, some of the stuff he did was good, but he was just then they were just attacking gamers all the time. Gamers don't need to be your audience. That was what they said in the aftermath of the whole Zoe Quinn thing, and You know, I mean, it almost feels bittersweet at this point though, because I feel like the hobby in general is starting to sink now anyway. So it's like,
Yeah, and
you
the
know,
journos have been a big part of it, but
yeah,
there's
other
other
things too.
things too. For example,
Um, oh yes, Grand Theft Auto 6 has been postponed. Hold on, I went back. Here we go. Grand Theft Auto fans will have to wait another year to get their hands on the latest version of the popular video game. The re-release of Grand Theft Auto 6, the latest installment of the series, will be pushed back to May 26, 2026. Rockstar Games said in a statement on Friday the game was expected to be released later this year. We are very sorry for in that this is later than you expected, Rockstar Games said. With every game we have released, the goal is always to try and exceed your expectations, and Grand Theft Auto 6 is no exception, the company added. We hope you understand that we need this extra time to deliver at the level of quality you expect and deserve. Grand Theft Auto, commonly referred to as GTA in the community, has sold millions of copies worldwide, but fans have been waiting for more than a decade for a new title. The most recent version game, Grand Theft Auto 5, was released in 2013 and sold over 200 million copies. Analysts have predicted that Grand Theft Auto 6 could end up being the most lucrative entertainment industry launch ever, although the delayed launch could dampen revenue in the near term. Analysts from Wedbush Securities said in a research note that they expect 6.35 billion in sales for fiscal year 2026 versus previous estimates of 8 billion. However, they say the delay will not have an impact on the lifetime sales of Grand Theft Auto 6. The game is expected to retail $80 or higher, or in the same ballpark as recent Nintendo and Xbox products, Wedbush predicts. When it does hit shelves next year, fans will meet its first ever female protagonist, Lucia, who is incarcerated at the start of the game and later appears with a male partner, as seen in the 2023 trailer, which has amassed millions of views. I'm assuming this is their take on Bonnie and Clyde. That's
could
a
be. Yeah,
guess.
sure. Why
We,
not?
we fully support Rockstar Games taking additional time to realize the creative vision for Grand Theft Auto 6's promises to be a groundbreaking blockbuster entertainment experience that exceeds audience expectations, Zelnick said, according to Bloomberg. Here's what I don't quite understand about Take-Two and Rockstar, though.
Uh-huh.
I get that they want to take their time making these games perfect, but why not have other projects also in the wings to release when these games aren't coming out? Rockstar Games used to have other series. They had Red Dead Redemption. They did do a sequel to that came out a few years ago, Red Dead Redemption 2. But they had other game series. They had Bully, which I really liked. They did where you play a kid being forced to go to this prestigious private school where
Uh-huh.
you have to contend with all these different types of bullies, and you have to be a bully yourself. It's rather funny actually, but
Oh, I've seen what's his name?
Let's
Call
Plays.
Me Kevin has done playthroughs of that. It's quite
It's
humorous.
a funny game. The dialogue is
Yeah.
very well written. I'm not mad about Grand Theft Auto being pushed back. I'd rather release a completed game in something broken and charge you for patches. I
I
agree. I
hope
mean,
I
yeah.
hope that's what the case is. I mean, you know, and it's not something else. But yes, I agree 100%.
Wonder if they are doing an Ubisoft. I don't know. I do know that
I need a translation on that. I don't.
I'm not quite sure what you mean either. I'm thinking what he means is I don't know what he means actually. Well, Ubisoft, I don't know. They kind of just stuck with the same franchise over and over again, but they would usually release regularly. Um, Rockstar don't have people to be making lesser games in between the big releases. They laid off almost half of their staff in the past years. I didn't realize that. Okay, well that might
Um,
explain. Maybe that's what they're talking about. Okay, about
that
Ubisoft
yeah,
laying
and
off people too.
well, but you know what? We've been talking about this for a while. We usually say it in terms of Disney, but the game
Oh,
companies too. You might have to get rid of people that aren't either are producing or are producing their own, infused messaging in there. And then, yeah, you're going to get a situation where you get a little bit lean until you can get, quality talent back in.
all the good developers left and were chased off, so only the activists were left to make these games. I've heard rumors, and maybe not even rumors. I mean, I think one of the big producers of Grand Theft Auto did leave. before this thing was finished, and that maybe they do have activists in charge of it. I've heard things behind the scenes. I know that they did censor the redone version of Grand Theft Auto 5 they put on modern consoles. I think they censored some stuff that would be offensive to certain community people. Even though Grand Theft Auto kind of makes fun of everybody, that's the point. It makes fun of all different types of people.
Look, as time goes by, not only do we get more and more confirmation of the adage, it is becoming more and more true. Go woke, go broke. And we are seeing this with movies. We are seeing this with games. They're putting out stuff, and people are sensitive to it now. Look at what happened to Snow White. Okay, come on. People are, and it's not just that. Now people are starting to stay away from whole companies, whether they do a good job or not. Apparently Andor is pretty good from what I've heard a lot of people saying, but people still aren't watching it because people are staying away from anything Disney does. Well, the same is happening in the game industry as well. But good games are doing well, but if there's any indication that it is corrupted by, modern audience, cultural Marxism, people will not buy it and they will not play it.
Rockstar has a very good reputation. They have one of the best reputations of any game.
Very easy to ruin.
It is, but it won't affect the sale, at least at launch. It would do. Of course, Grand Theft Auto is the kind of game people will buy over and over again. They get a new console, they'll buy the version of it for the new console. They've re-released.
This is why I encourage people to not buy something on the first day.
People are going to be rushing to buy this thing.
Then you're dumb.
No, you don't understand.
You're going to get the one that needs to be patched, that doesn't work.
Okay.
And then you find out, this game sucks. I wasted my money.
This is like telling people not to go see The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi when Star Wars. This is that big of a game series.
I understand that, but now people are actually doing that. They are not seeing things opening week. And if it turns out to be good, everyone is surprised when the movie does even better on its second week. This is becoming more and more the norm. I think sense and sensibility is starting to take over.
Anyway, no, GeekFlag brings a point. Okay, then maybe delay in Grand Theft Auto to remove Sweet Baby Inc. input from the game. And yes, it
might be completely infused. They might have to go back to square one to do that.
It might explain, though, why they're delaying it, though, if they're trying to remove.
You might have a point. That could be, if that is why they're doing it. I mean, we're being very optimistic here, but.
Here's the thing with game series that people are thinking could be woke. We don't know. I just have to wait for the game to come out. Now, I'm not going to buy it at launch, but I don't do that. But I very rarely do that with a lot of things. But Tori's referring to Ubisoft game Skull and Bones was supposed to be a new pirate game and promised so much, but after so many delays, it went Ubisoft Singapore and it was a FUBAR game. I don't understand Ubisoft. I forgot they had developed Skull and Bones. I think I did see that. That was terrible. Assassin's Creed Black Flag was people loved that game. In fact, I think it was almost a standalone game where it wasn't going to be tied to Assassin's Creed, but they chickened out. It was a very popular game where you got to be a pirate, basically. Okay, and they could have done a whole series based on that. But
so before we move on, I want to go back and review. So we've talked about game journalism hurting the industry.
Yes.
Now we're talking about, the whole cultural Marxism, and modern audiences hurting the industry. But there's something else that we got to consider when it comes to gaming that's hurting the industry, and that's prices, for crying out loud.
Oh, wait.
Oh, did I put up the wrong one?
You went the wrong way. We're Night Dive first. Do you have the Night Dive link? I can do the Microsoft one first if you want.
I probably do. Let me see.
All right.
Did I take that off? Maybe I thought that was the one we weren't doing.
No, we're doing the Night Dive. Kingdom Come was the one we're not doing. It's okay. I can just remove.
Night Dive Studios CEO. Yeah.
I'm not going to spend much time on this. I think the headline.
Did I'm sorry. I did.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. We don't need the.
I keep screwing up.
It's okay. Anyway, there we go. Night Dive. There we go. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I do have a lot of respect for Night Dive Studios. I think you do. You would too. In
Yeah.
fact, I've actually gotten you some Night Dive games.
Yes.
The Doom and Quake games. Those are Night Dive
Right.
developed games. Night Dive Studio CEO says that game key cards on Switch 2 are disheartening. Game key cards for the upcoming Switch 2 have been incredibly controversial amongst the community, with more and more third-party studios seemingly opting to utilize the technology instead of including the full game data on the cartridge. Yeah, like I at first was like, okay, well, at least Nintendo's making everybody be transparent, and if you're going to be putting the game on the thing or not. But then it realized all these third-party companies are they're just using the game key cards and not putting games on the actual cartridges.
Right.
But seeing Nintendo do this is a little disheartening. This is from Night Dive Studio CEO Stephen Kirk. Seeing Nintendo do this is a little disheartening. You would hope that a company that big, that has such a storied history, would take preservation a little more seriously.
Which is a big thing for them. So I can understand them pointing that out. Yeah.
Even when a cartridge does contain data on day one of release, games are so often patched, updated, and expanded
Yeah.
through downloads that the cart very often loses its connection to the game and functions more like a physical copy production dongle for a digital product. He did say that sometimes that's redundant. Um, I did find out though there was another YouTuber, I forget her name. I wish I could give her props, but she did cite from a site, I mean from an article saying that about 93% of disc release games on consoles are actually playable without the internet. It's only a few that you require those forced downloads where you have to download half the game.
Hmm.
She was trying to make a point that it's actually not as dire as we've been led to believe. But now that Nintendo is doing this with the game key cards, I think this is going to make things worse.
Well, it depends on how the market responds to it.
Don't
If
buy them.
you go out and slovenly throw your money at it, the first day, gotta have it. You know what? You're enabling them, and you can't complain.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You're saying, Darth Vader, glad I didn't touch any of this stuff, but this stuff is yet to come out, these game key cards. These are going to be coming out with the Switch too. Believe it or not, a lot of Switch games, the games are on the actual cartridge you buy. And to be fair, I think I was picking a couple weeks ago because I bought the Spyro collection on PlayStation. It required this huge download, which means the game wasn't on the disc. But most games that get released on these discs, they're on the disc in some form. So, but I'm worried that's going to change, especially as companies start forcing us, to download stuff, and they're trying to go this whole digital route with everything. I heard EA Games laid off some 200 employees, which also include most of the people working on Titanfall 3. Yeah, EA's been a disaster lately. Because they keep releasing games nobody wants to play. But with respect, we reject, says Geek Flag. Let's go to the Microsoft article. I don't have an actual picture of the article. I have a picture of Daffy Duck with a huge thing of money because, frankly, this is what Microsoft reminds me of right now. All right, so Microsoft is raising prices on Xbox by a lot. This kind of shocked me because typically, as the console generation goes on, the console price usually gets reduced in value to sell more consoles. Do you understand?
Right. Exactly.
Like the PlayStation 2, like I think after a while they would knock $50 off it after a couple of years. And for people that didn't own one yet, or maybe wanted to buy a second console, they could go and pick one up for less money. But
wait, I do want to real quick. I saw this comment from
yes.
Nate, and I misread it. I thought he was calling us geeky bastards. He's calling Microsoft greedy bastards.
Hold on to that title. That might be a good title for a show someday. Most
Geeky
physical
bastards.
games are code feed digital download only. I can only tell you what this one site was saying. But I do know that they have what they have done with Switch games in the past. Sometimes it's a code in a box where you buy the game box and there's a code on the inside, and people are like, "Why did I bother buying this? It's just a code for a digital game."
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that I got tired of and walked away from EA games. I used to love The Sims so much.
Oh, the PC games, right? Okay.
They started the whole, you have the game physically, but you have to unlock it with this code, and if you change computers, you can't move it over to the new computer because that code has already been used. And I just said, I'm done. I'm done. You're not getting another cent of my money ever again.
It's like the last time I bought Microsoft Office, I could install it on up to 3 Macs, but then it wouldn't be no good, the physical disks I got. Of course, now
Yeah.
Microsoft doesn't do that anymore. Now you have to subscribe to Office.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Microsoft, getting back to this, Microsoft is raising prices on Xbox by a lot. That's what the article says. In an announcement today, the company said it will be raising prices on Xbox consoles, controllers, headsets, and some games. The price hike for consoles and accessories kicks in today, May 1st. So if you were hoping to get an Xbox Series console, you might be out of luck. And while game prices will stay the same for now, we should expect Xbox charging $79.99 for new first-party games around the holiday season. Price increases are taking effect globally with the exception of the headset prices, which are only going up in the United States and Canada. Oh, well, that's good at least. Oh, wait, I live in the United States. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Going forward, here are the expected prices on the various Xbox consoles and accessories. I'm using the U.S. currency, okay? Xbox Series S, that's the old digital console, with a 512, what is that, gigabyte or hard drive? $379.99, up from $299.99. Xbox Series S 1 terabyte console, $429.99, up from $349.99. Xbox Series X digital, meaning no drive, $549.99, up from $449.99. Xbox Series X 1 terabyte, $599, up from $499.99. Xbox Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition, $729.99, up from $599.99. And keep in mind, if I wanted to buy an Xbox Series X, I'd have to get the 2 terabyte because the expansion memory only goes up 2 terabyte, and leaving me with 4 terabyte max on this thing, and then you're screwed if you want to put all these digital games they want you to download or install.
I'm telling you, I said it with the other articles. I'm saying it again. If you give them your money, you enable them to keep doing this to you.
Listen to this: Xbox wireless controller core, not like the Elite controller, $64.99. Xbox wireless controller color. So if you want to get a color edition, $69.99. Xbox wireless controller special edition, $79.99. Oh wait, I might have some of those. Xbox Wireless Controller Limited Edition, $89.99, up from $79.99. Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 Core, $149.99. Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 Full, if you want the full controller for the Elite Series, $199.99. You used to get a console with 2 controllers for that price back in the day. I don't understand this.
So,
I can't figure
Jonathan Conroy makes a great point. He says, I think Microsoft is using the tariffs as a way to explain the new costs. Sure, they can use that as an excuse. That's what Hasbro is doing with their games and toys. But I will have a whole segment later this week. I'm starting a new afternoon talk show, calling it Liquid Lunch, and not tomorrow because I want the first show to be kind of laid back and kind of at ease. But I'm going to have a rant later in the week talking about the tariffs and just explaining the economic concept that I don't think anyone would be too shocked by my saying. I don't think there's any contention on this, that companies are greedy. So they will charge you as much as they possibly can, as much as the market will bear. And then when something like a tariff comes along, they generally have to eat those costs because they're already charging as much as the market can bear. If they're not doing it, then they haven't been doing their jobs as greedy bastards, as Nate called them earlier. So you can use tariffs as an excuse, but then we're just going to say, well, you were already at the as much as I was willing to spend. So now you can take your tariffs and you can take your games and you can shove them.
Okay. Listen, this is what they've said, quote, Microsoft issued IGN a fine. Microsoft is not a person. Who said this? Okay, anyway, we understand that these changes are challenging and they were made with careful consideration given market conditions and the rising cost of development. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across the screen and ensuring value for Xbox players. They had a quote about the tariffs in here too, I thought. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Just an unfortunate coincidence was and American-based companies. I don't know. I thought they maybe it was a different article I read where they say, "Oh, the tariffs are a factor." Sure, they say. It's, they do say that there are many games coming out, like the new Fable, which I have no interest in because the female character looked off-putting in that. The Perfect Dark reboot with the lantern-jawed Joanna Dark. Made by the people that did the Tomb Raider reboot, which I didn't like. Okay, moving on. I'm not paying $80 for these games. I'm not paying. I'm not taking a second mortgage on the house to pay for a game console. No, I'm saying.
What Maddy said. The irony is they'd probably make more money if they lowered the prices.
Of course they
would. They absolutely would. I would encourage people to study economics. Understand. The idea of the Laffer curve, the idea, this is from taxation, that lower taxation can paradoxically result in higher tax revenue, without getting too into it. Sometimes the concept of priming the pump is intelligent, but I don't think we have intelligence running corporations these days. Does Microsoft have local or domestic facilities to make Xbox stuff? Because I know the toy companies don't. Most of my Jurassic World toys are made in Vietnam and West Taiwan, aka China. I don't know specifically about Microsoft.
I doubt it.
I do know that we have a lag with the whole situation regarding computer chips. I know that's a big deal. But Jesse, I would encourage you when I address this later in the week. If you can't join me at noon Central Time for the live show, you can always catch the rerun. I'm going to be talking about these things. Trust me, in a lot more detail.
I think I could be wrong, but I thought Nintendo had the Switch too. So I think they're being made in Vietnam, so I don't know if they're going to be suffering from the China stuff as much for the China tariffs. But this is just ridiculous, though, that they're charging this much for consoles. Because I'm sorry, the Xbox is not doing well right now.
And I do have to say, in fairness, I don't think the article even talked about tariffs. So we're speculating on that whole thing.
I thought somewhere I could have swore there was something.
Oh, if they don't eventually get around to using that as an excuse, I have no doubt. But again, that's an excuse.
I could have swore there was a quote from Microsoft where they directly, I don't think they directly said tariffs, but they said it's a factor or something. But they, maybe it was a different article I read. I don't see it here. Maybe I dreamt that they said that. I'm sure that of course, I'll say this: people were complaining about the Switch 2 price and the price of Switch games when Nintendo announced all this stuff, but that had nothing to do with tariffs. Because that was decided. The worry was they were going to start increasing stuff after the tariffs, even more than what they had announced.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to the Minecraft movie. Back in the day, they would lose money on consoles to sell games. Yes, I know. Well, things have changed now. You made the money on the games. People argued that, Nintendo with the Nintendo 64, that was a premium piece of hardware, which I don't know if they had a loss on that, but they made the money off the games. But Warner's announced rowdy screenings of Minecraft movie with Block Party Edition. Now, you almost didn't want to use this article. You weren't sure if this was newsworthy. I said yes. You know why? Because I think it's this. Can you imagine?
Is that actually a screen capture from
yes.
a photo
yes.
from the result
yes.
of
yes.
What is that? That's not popcorn.
I think maybe fire extinguisher. Maybe someone let off in the theater.
Oh, Okay,
I don't know
okay.
what that is, but no, I
That
actually
could be.
was looking it up online. I was looking for random pics. This one looked pretty grody. I could
Gotcha,
be
gotcha.
wrong. Maybe this isn't one, but I when I did the search, this came up when I did a Google search on this. But yeah, Warner announces rowdy screenings of Minecraft movie Block Party Edition. I don't know if the studio should be encouraging this. Warner Brothers is leaning into Minecraft movie mayhem by announcing Block Party Edition screenings, which encourage the audience to sing and talk with the smash hit film. As the video game adaptation starring Jack Black edges into a second month in theaters, Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures come up with a screening stunt to try and spark another round of repeat viewings on the weekend. The screenings will embrace fans singing the memeing along to their favorite moments. The enthusiastic announcement reads, Warner Brothers Pictures and Legendary Pictures invite fans back to the theater to experience Minecraft movie in a whole new way. You know the moments, you know the lines, you know the songs. Now it's time to get loose, laugh out loud, and belt out those lyrics like a true Diamond Tier fan. The Block Party Edition screenings will be held on Friday, May 2nd in North America and select international markets. I don't know, man. I don't want my movie going experience to be like being stuck in the court of Caligula. That's what I'm saying.
I will. I
I
will.
just don't want this. It's
I will not take a stand on this. What I will say is the studios have no business taking a stand on this. This is a situation for the cinemas to deal with. And if the cinemas, because we had talked about this previously, some cinemas were embracing it. Some were saying we'll have special showings where this is allowed. Otherwise, it's not. Whatever. It's your cinema. You are the cinema manager or owner or whatever. It's up to you. It is no business of the studios.
people
And
are also
I've kind of looked into all of this because I really didn't understand where this was coming from. Coming to realize this is meme mentality. You can't really. There is no logic to it. Once it someone comes up with an idea and puts something on TikTok and it goes viral, it's a thing all of its own. There's nothing in the movie specifically about chicken jockey that infers throw your popcorn and your drink
no.
all over.
It's just a scene in the movie where they're in a ring fighting a chicken jockey.
Exactly.
You get to see Jason Momoa get knocked across the room by a zombie thing on a chicken, though. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know, but
exactly. And
anyway,
now that I understand what it means in the game and what it means in the movie, I think Warner Brothers is completely gobsmacked by this. They had no reason to believe anything like this would ever happen. And
everyone
now
was
we get to
predicting
see it.
failure of this movie. Even I was. I'll say that. People are also bringing things in the theater, like the guy even brought a
I,
live chicken. Yes, that
I
happened.
saw that and
Live chicken.
that made me chuckle a little bit because I could just imagine that. That's kind of funny, actually. Um,
Yeah, when the Rugrats made their first movie, it was jam packed, but nothing crazy. I remember a friend of mine. He wanted to go see Finding Nemo, and we went to the theater. It's like, are we in the right theater? Because it was a Pixar movie, but it was crammed with children. Okay, but they
yeah.
were fine. The children were glued to the screen. They weren't being disruptive or anything. But it was just
And honestly, this is more of an indictment of our society right now.
yeah.
Like I said, if my mother took me to see this movie, and as a kid, and I did anything like this, she would have pulled me out of that theater. She would have lit up my backside, and it's like you do not behave like an animal in public like that. You don't do that in our home, let alone in public.
If this sort of stuff starts happening at movies often, I'm done with theaters. I'm not going out to theaters if this is going to happen while I'm in the middle of watching the movie. It's not happening.
I do understand the challenge that cinema proprietors have right now because they are on a razor's edge. We are in danger of losing cinema because they
Well,
have never recuperated from what they
no,
did
they
to us
haven't.
5.5 years ago. And the industry has not helped them in any way. And when they finally have something that people get excited about, they're clearly getting a little too excited about. So what do? Do you embrace the exuberance because it's bringing the money in, or do you drive people away because they're tearing up the theaters? I don't know.
This is causing damages to the movie theater itself. You have to pay people to
Exactly.
clean up. This, I'm sorry. This is not a wrestling ring. This is not.
I mean, this really is the downfall of society in its early stages.
Hold
It
on.
really is.
I talked to a theater manager near me, and he said that the Twilight movie was chaos. People weren't sitting down. Everything was running around. It was all like no movie was playing. Are you talking about the vampire movie Twilight, or like
I
a
mean,
Twilight showing? I'm just
it does sound like it's a generational thing, that we have
okay.
a generation of complete animals that don't know how to behave in public anymore.
Today's kids don't care. They think someone is paid to clean up the mess after the movie. Sad thing is, those people only come in after the movie are done playing for the day. That's great. That's just great. Just no. I'm telling you, I'm going to see the Accountant 2 tomorrow, and I better have a good experience. That's all I'm saying. Troy, where are the parents in this BS? Yeah,
Because
like you said.
the parents are just as bad. They don't care. They didn't teach their children because they don't feel that they have to. This is someone else's problem.
Someone liking this Rocky Horror Picture Show, but the people who dress up for the Rocky Horror Picture Show are not trash. Yeah, they don't trash the theater. They may quote the lines from the movie and yell out and stuff, but they are not
Well,
yeah.
they do make a mess, right? Because they do have the whole thing where they throw rice, they throw toast, and they bring that stuff in from outside.
Okay.
The thing is, honestly, those aren't terrible things. That's not spraying chemicals, from a fire extinguisher. That's not pouring out soda on the floor so it gets all sticky. Honestly, you can sweep up toast and rice pretty quickly, and it's no harm, no foul. And it's once at a midnight showing. It's still not cool, but it's I see it as a little bit more acceptable.
Lord of the Flies is winning. Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
I read that book.
No,
Yeah,
that's not true. I mean, that's not wrong, is what I meant to say.
Yeah. Good evening from Huntsville. Welcome, Keely Chow. Good to see you. We're talking
Hey,
about
Keely.
if you want to go see the Minecraft movie and just throw things around, you'll now be allowed in certain theater settings. It's because like I argue, this is like I don't want to go to a movie theater
This is
for
the
like an
last days
important.
of Rome, is what I
Yeah, that's why I was mentioning Caligula.
Yeah.
It's like, this is, but maybe some good news, or not. We have,
Well, and let's face it, this is a little bit speculative, but well, we're going to tell you what we do know for sure.
did I do Tremors for good old days a while back?
At one
I don't
point, you
remember if I
did, yeah.
did.
We did
Yeah.
when what's his name passed?
Oh, that's right.
The bloke that played Remo Williams.
Yeah, that's right. Because I'm a big fan of uh, big fan of this movie. Like I said, this was actually, I think it was like on a President's Day I saw this, and I had
Yeah.
off from school. My mom took me to the movies. She asked what I wanted to see, and I said Tremors, and I had a
What
good
is this
time.
sandworm called, Boomer?
Graboid.
It's a graboid. So I had mentioned this on a previous stream, and someone had said, "Oh yeah, that Tremors, a new movie that's been in development hell forever." I'm like, but there's a big change. The creator won back the script rights.
Yes.
And you better believe, if you go to the trouble of winning back the script rights, you're planning to make a movie.
Don't make them CG.
Well,
okay. Anyway, Stampede Entertainment, the team behind Tremors, in its first 3 sequels, have won back the rights to the original script for the 1990 classic. This allows director Ron Underwood, writers Brent Maddock and S.S. Wilson, and producer Nancy Robert to have some creative control over the future of their creation after being shut out by Universal Studios' 3 most recent sequels. Precisely what they're able to do with the rights they have, however, is still up in the air at this time. We aren't reading outside ideas. We are discussing a return to perfection sequel and 1 or 2 more outlandish ideas featuring graboids in new settings. The team wrote on their website. They continue, whatever we decide to pitch to Hollywood, it will not be a remake of the first movie with a new cast, nor will it be a version of our original script for Tremors 5. We are considering ideas that feature the return of Kevin Bacon as Val, but no promises. Bacon reprised the role of Val McNee for the pilot for a Tremors TV show back in 2017, but Sci-Fi passed on the show. The pilot never saw the light of day, but you can watch the trailer. This is lost media. Okay. Stampede has
Yeah.
also enlisted Christian Francis to write a novelization of the original Tremors script, which was titled Beneath Perfection. Francis has authored novels based on Wishmaster, Session 9, and the forthcoming In the Mouth of Madness. Uh, um, on that note, since their script was not titled Tremors, it's likely they can't use that title for any of their own projects. Stay tuned for more as we learn it on all things Tremors. This is something I've noticed. I could be wrong in this. I'll have to look for an article on this. Are movie novelizations now making a comeback for movies that never got novelizations?
I hope so. I really do. Honestly, I'm in the middle of reading Batman Resurrection,
Right.
and I'm thinking, is there a novelization of the first Batman movie?
There had to have been.
There had to have been, and I'm thinking I might want to get it because there's there's always great little details that are in the books
Yes.
that are left out of the movie. You know, I mean, it's the problem of the medium. Plus, you often get the inner monologue for these characters and so forth. And as I'm reading this book, I'm like, I had forgotten how much I really love, novelizations.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
one, of course, being a novelization for a movie that never existed, but you know what I mean.
I think there was a Rocky novelization that was written by Sylvester Stallone himself, actually, which I'm kind of curious about.
Believe it or not, the novelization for Grease was actually really, really good. I know that's mind-boggling.
Oh wait, someone was saying something about Tremors. When I saw Tremors in the theater, something. Oh well.
Oh, here, I'll bring it up.
Thank you.
When I saw Tremors in theater, the theater started showing Sleepwalkers instead. People complained, so they had to wait until the theater fixed the problem.
Oh
man, I'll tell you. Yeah, that's
messed up, man. You need to get your ticket money back at the very least. Come on.
Yeah. We're fighting to bring up the next
Shazam!
article.
Fury of the Gods. Did you ever see this movie?
I didn't see the second one. I saw the first one.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. For some reason I just said no. I think I realized
I might even have it on DVD. I just haven't gotten around to
it.
That one and Black Adam.
That I think that's why I didn't see this. I think I was annoyed that Black Adam is not the villain in this movie, but we also don't have the villain that was introduced at the first Shazam movie, which was what, Mr. Mind, the caterpillar thing. We don't get that either in this sequel. I think they keep doing that, where they introduce things and they don't follow up on it. It's just not worth it. Shazam! Fury of the Gods director reveals he never wants to direct another superhero film. Director David F. Sandberg reveals he's done with superhero movies after fans got very crazy and angry over Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam was one of the few DCEU characters who got their own movie without any connection to the Justice League before James Gunn's DCU reboot of the franchise. What do you mean without any connection to the Justice League? It took place in that last universe. Anyway, Shazam holds an extraordinary 90% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, standing at the third spot in the DCEU's Rotten Tomatoes rankings. On the other hand, Shazam! Fury of the Gods holds a 49% tomato meter on the 13th spot, just above Justice League's 39%. That means the movie won good. In an interview with Games Radar, Shazam! Fury of the Gods director David F. Sandberg revealed he no longer wants to make a superhero movie. Oh, I'm sorry, repeating myself. But yeah, he said it just wasn't worth it. Unfortunately, the Shazam sequel focus did not bring enough fresh ideas to the table. And by then, they had already moved on to the gun.
This isn't, and this is me just beating my head against the wall going, they still don't understand. Two things here. First, blaming the fans again. So screw you. And secondly, this isn't just superhero movies. This is franchise. This is anything that's a franchise. If you're not willing to put in the effort to understand the franchise, to understand the lore, don't do the damn thing. Because yes, the fans will rebel if you screw it up. If you can't handle it, don't do it. It's like trying to do your own plumbing when you don't know how to do it. Fix your own car when you don't know how to do it. If you're going to screw it up, and who are you going to blame? The car company?
There were things I liked about the first Shazam movie. I liked that whole scene with the whole Marvel family, getting the
Yeah,
powers at the end. That was really cool, I thought, his adoptive
yeah.
family. And
That first movie, I actually thought was pretty good. There was a
yeah,
lot of things I really liked about it.
yeah.
I anything I had a problem with, I would kind of nitpick. I think the biggest problem I had with it was I felt it was too much like Big, and it's not supposed to be. Billy Batson, when he becomes Captain Marvel, is supposed to have the wisdom of Solomon. He is not supposed to still be a man boy with superpowers.
That's true. You have a point there. He's supposed to have the wisdom of Solomon. Did you notice, there was a wonderful scene in that one Batman, Superman, Public Enemies movie when Captain Marvel shows up and says, "It doesn't take the wisdom of Solomon to know that you should stand down." Remember what he said?
Yeah.
Is this Helen Mirren's worst movie? No, that would be Caligula. But anyway,
Yeah, good point.
I felt that I was watching a review of Caligula because I could never bring myself to watch that movie. But this guy was reviewing it, and he's like, "This movie's wrong on a lot of levels because it has Helen Mirren in it, and I greatly respect this great British accent. I'm seeing more of her than I would normally see." And he's like, like in scenes, and like it's like
Yeah.
it feels wrong because yeah, she's an attractive woman in that movie.
I mean, in fairness, that's not the only movie that you see a lot more of Helen Mirren than,
I guess, but that was a very explicit. It was a disastrous movie. Yeah, I don't know, but I just don't get what's going on here. I think she played yes, she did.
Kind of
Yes.
did, yeah.
But I don't know. I think she was a priestess too. I don't know what was going on. To be fair, I don't know how accurate that movie was to ancient Rome either. Let's be honest here. There was probably some liberties taken there. I mean, Caligula was a monster. I'm not saying he wasn't, but it's just
he was nuts.
Yeah, he was knucking futz, as you would say. Right?
Knucking futz, yeah, exactly.
I don't think Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark says the directors are casted and have no say in the film they are directing. I wonder about that because to be fair, I did like the first Thor movie. They made a big deal out of casting Kenneth Branagh. Remember, you have Kenneth Branagh directing this Thor movie. It's like, oh, that makes sense. He's the Shakespeare guy, right? So
yeah.
All right, moving on to this was kind of let me just read it. Jeremy Renner reveals Disney. Wait a minute.
I did it again. I posted the wrong one.
No, you didn't.
My apologies.
You didn't. I think I screwed up. Oh no! I was trying to be careful tonight. Okay. Well, we'll leave it on the Shazam picture since it's super related. I forgot to put a picture of the Jeremy Renner article. It wasn't you.
Oh, okay.
Actor Jeremy Renner, who plays Hawkeye in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, recently shared that Marvel Studios wanted to return for a second season of Hawkeye. Disney Plus but only offered him half the salary from the first season. Speaking with High Performance, Renner said they asked me to do season 2, and they offered me half the salary. And I'm like, wow, it's going to take me twice the amount of work for half the amount of money, and so 8 months of my time essentially, and I have to do it for half. I'm like, I'm sorry. Why? Because you think I'm only half of the Jeremy because I got ran over? Maybe that's why you want to pay me half of what I made on the first season. And this is not Marvel. This is just like Disney. Not even really Disney, Renner said. It's just the penny pinchers, the accountants. I told them to go fly a kite. Just at the insult offer. So we did.
I think a lot of people are at the point where they're getting, you know what? I do need a paycheck, but is it worth it? Getting into this genre stuff, getting into Marvel, getting into Star Wars, where these movies are failing and failing and failing. It's hurting people's careers. And I've been saying this all along. It's like you look at a script and you think whether or not it's a good role for you, but you've also got to look at the business and the market and the lay of the land, so to speak. You've got to be wise in what jobs you take. I think Jeremy Renner really could, and honestly, they've mistreated him for a long time. He's been marginalized and sidelined. In the last movie he was um, in the biggest way.
Yeah.
So it's like I would move on from that. He could do
He's a
so
good
much.
actor. I want to
He
say,
really
and,
is.
and I wonder if too some of this has to do with the accident. They thought he would take anything. That's kind of disgusting if that's the case. But
Well, that's Disney for you, and that's also why. This is another reason why people don't consider this. It's not just about the movie I want to see and my franchise and support this, and I like this actor. It's also people going, I can't stand Disney anymore, and I cannot support them any longer. I don't want to see anything Disney does, and I definitely don't want to take my kids to see it.
Jonathan Connery says Disney is looking for ways out of the TV shows and movies. So if an actor tells them to pound sand, it's money back in their pocket. I don't get it. Are they just going to do the Hawkeye show with Haley
It's not
Steinfeld?
money back in their pocket, though. This is money they don't even have. They are losing money on every film they do. Midnight's Edge just did a great piece about even Wolverine and Deadpool, the one that they did so well. The two movies that they did since then lost them more than they made on that one. They are losing money as they go. I mean, literally 2 steps forward, 4 steps back. And Thunderbolts is going to lose money. So is there any reason to believe that whatever project they're going to put Jeremy Renner in is going to make them money? It's going to be in the red too. So whether they pay him, twice as much or half as much or not at all, they're still going to lose money.
Well,
I don't know how long Disney can continue.
Jeremy Renner, they should give him something else though. You know what they could do if they had their head on straight with Star Trek? They would put Jeremy Renner on a Star Trek show.
If I was him, I wouldn't take it.
No, but if they had the right Pete, never mind. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because he's been in Mission Impossible already, so what hasn't he been in? I could, but yeah. So this is our next article. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't have the Jeremy Renner picture on there. I thought I was being good tonight. Oh well. Nathan Fielder slams Paramount Plus for removing Nathan for You episode for sensitivities around anti-Semitism. Felder
more censorship, guys.
Yeah, Felder also pointed out the disappropriate representation of search results under search results under the term. Should I just say it? Yeah, rhymes with Yahtzee. All right, compared to results for Judaism on the service, we've been erased. Yes, Felder also pointed out that because he basically says you can find the word for the oppressor, just not the word for the people they oppressed on the service. Nathan Fielder is firing shots at Paramount. The streaming service removed an episode of Fielder's Comedy Central series, Nathan for You. The comedian complains in Sunday's episode of the HBO docudrama, The Rehearsal. The episode, Fielder explains that one of his proudest achievements is creating the Summit Ice apparel brand, which he launched during the second episode of Nathan for You's third season in 2015 to promote Holocaust awareness. In late 2023, the discovery of that episode for Nathan for You featuring the Summit Ice story mysteriously went missing from Paramount Plus streaming service, Felder says in Rehearsal. Fielder then recounts the moment that he learned about the removal of the episode, which is still missing from Paramount Plus at the time of writing, by directing Alexander Leese, who played the fake Nathan Rehearsal's first season, retype his email correspondence with Paramount. I wrote an email to some contacts I had at Paramount asking them why the episode was removed. Fielder explains over voiceover, noting that he needed to maintain professionalism within the company because his other recent show, The Curse, is also a Paramount project. The thing that made this tricky was Paramount is currently airing a different series of mine, a scripted drama that hadn't yet been renewed. How I spoke to them could have career repercussions. In his usual deadpan delivery, Fielder recalls, I remember wanting to convey how urgent this was for me, and yet my email was extremely cordial, using phrases like forever grateful, happy holidays. The network confirmed in their response that it was taken down intentionally and gave me a one-note explanation as to why: sensitivities. Entertainment Weekly has learned that Paramount Plus is not streaming that episode after a standards review, but it is unclear which of the company's standards the episode failed to meet. A clip from the episode is still viewable in a video on Comedy Central's YouTube channel. Fielder goes on to recount the moment when he received the lengthier explanation. What I discovered was so shocking, a tornado of emotions began spinning inside my body, in Aries. The email said, in late 2023, a decision was made by Paramount Plus Germany to remove the episode in their region after they became uncomfortable with what they called anything that touches on anti-Semitism in the aftermath of the Israel-Hamas attacks. The comedian, who is Jewish, also claims the German Paramount Plus division's decision caused other countries to remove that episode and sarcastically draws parallels between this chain of events and World War II. A wartime-style map graphic shows the Paramount Plus blue and white logo spreading across European continent. Oh, that's interesting. That reminds me of like in the Why We Fight films. This act by Germany triggered the attention of other European Parliament branches, and they pulled the episode too, he says. Before long, the ideology of Paramount Plus Germany had spread to the entire globe, eliminating all Jewish content that made them uncomfortable. This is real, by the way. Fielder also shares statistics about the programming currently available on Paramount Plus in the United States. On the Paramount app, there are 50 results for the word that rhymes with Yahtzee, 10 for the mustache man, and 0 for Judaism. He says we've been erased. Fielder claims about those words results on Paramount Plus were correct in the time of this writing, with titles like the Smithsonian's channels, The Hunt for the Something Gold Train. Anyway, we know what that word is, right?
I prefer to say German National Socialist.
There you go, German National Socialist.
That is what it literally is, and so far that has not been censored. So I think using the word socialist, it probably gives you a bump in the algorithm with the way these neo-Marxists are. But just
what do you think of this, though? This is a little off-putting. This was about Holocaust remembrance, and they're removing it because it mentions the Holocaust.
Yeah, it's hypocrisy. It's
not
what it
promoting
really is.
What was done in the Holocaust. It was just Holocaust.
It doesn't matter. It is literally, there was always an assumption that we would remember so it would never happen again, and now they flipped it on its head. Let us forget so it can happen again. And this is what I tell people whenever I find myself debating with them about this. Well, we shouldn't be talking about, we shouldn't. Really? So what you're saying is you want us to forget so it can happen again. Well, no. That is what is going to happen. That is how this works, people.
Now, I know in Germany, at least for a number of years, they were very skittish about people. I mean, basically, they had censorship over there, people even using the word or symbols from that era. But now it seems like they're trying to wipe out the era entirely. Is that what the impression I'm getting here by getting rid of this? This is odd to me, unless maybe they're pro another side going on in the world right now, because this country was, as I mentioned, was attacked recently, Israel. So I don't know what the reasoning is.
Look, I will be as generous as possible and say that this comes from a place of just not feeling comfortable with it, so we want to avoid it. But that is never a good thing. Okay? You may not want to talk to your kids about drugs. You may not want to talk to them about guns.
Gun
you may
safety,
not want to talk to them, but you need to teach your kids about these things, so you need to talk to them about it. If you don't, the bad thing that you are trying to not talk about will happen. Same thing here. You may not want to talk about horrible things that happened in history, but if you don't, they will happen again. Full stop.
Have we been too nice to Paramount? I feel like there's a lot of ick inside this company, especially in light of that whole Nickelodeon thing that came out.
We've got another story coming up after this one.
Okay, I'm pretty much done.
We'll get on Paramount again in a moment or two.
Let's just do that. Oh, cool. I figure you might be excited for this. I used to watch this show.
It's hard for me to get excited about anything these days, but it's interesting. Mark Melnikoff sent this one to us.
It's a Desperate Housewives offshoot. Wisteria Lane and works at Onyx from Kerry Washington and Natalie Shadez. This is submitted, as you said, by Mark Malnikoff. One of the most famous streets in TV history is ready to welcome new residents. Wisteria Lane, a reimagining of a hit ABC mystery dramedy series, Desperate Housewives, has been set up for development at Onyx Collective. Deadline has learned exclusively. It comes from Kerry Washington, Simpson Street, and 20th Century Television, where the company is based. Written by Natalie Shadiz, the flight attendant, Wisteria Lane is described as a fun, sexy, darkly comedic soap mystery in the vein of Desperate Housewives, set among a group of 5 very different friends and sometimes frenemies who all live on a picture-perfect cul-de-sac called Wisteria Lane. So it sounds like it's keeping in the spirit of the original series. On the surface, all the Wisteria neighbors are living the dream, beautiful homes, gorgeous families, shiny SUVs in their driveways, but behind those white picket fences and smiling Instaposts are secrets. Shadez executive produced Wisteria Lane alongside Washington and Pilar Savane via their Simpson Street, as well as Stacey Shear, Mrs. America, who was under a first look detail at 20th TV through her shiny penny. It is unclear whether Washington could potentially appear on the show. 20th TV, which recently absorbed Desperate Housewives Studio, ABC Studio successor ABC Signature, is producing. Desperate Housewives creator executive producer Mark Cherry was not part of the pitch, but is aware of the project and could be involved in it in some capacity, sources say. Wisteria Lane sale comes on the heels of Desperate Housewives' 20th anniversary last October, which brought on a new wave of nostalgia and reboot talk. I'm really feeling old. In November, Cherry admitted that about 70,000 people have asked him about a reboot, as fans' passion for the show and interest in revisiting it remains strong 13 years after it ended its 8-season run on ABC. The cast have been fielding endless inquiries too, with Longoria saying earlier this month that she would be the first person to sign up for a Desperate Housewives reboot. There are no current plans for characters from the original series to appear in Wisteria Lane. While speculation about the potential Desperate Housewives follow-up, revival, reboot, sequel, spinoff, and other offshoot has been rampant for more than a decade, this marks the first real stab at expanding the franchise. In addition to Buffy and Prison Break reboot pilots for Hulu, 20th TV has a Malcolm in the Middle 4-part sequel at Disney Plus, with efforts to get Scrubs reboot off the ground also underway. Your thoughts?
I'm not gonna even comment on the Buffy one, but as for all
Also,
the
the
other,
Scrubs one, because I thought Scrubs is now offensive now. Weren't they saying that? Like, oh,
I
there's
don't
new people
know. I
done
don't
on there.
care.
What do you do now? Yeah.
I am at the point that I don't give a flying fig what anyone says when they're offended about something anymore. I really don't. I see no reason that any of these, other than Buffy, all the rest of these, I think, can easily be, if it's like this, an offshoot. The story that you loved, it happened. Now this is the same, picket fence neighborhood, just with different people living here now. It's a generation later, but they have wacky stories too. You could do the same thing in a hospital with Scrubs, new doctors and whatnot. Why not? I have no problem with that. My concern, and it's probably not even a big deal, but I want to know how they're going to handle the location of this, because Desperate Housewives was filmed on the back lot that no longer exists anymore. All those houses were torn down. One of the houses that one of these women lived in was the house that they filmed the Addams Family in. Or no, I'm sorry, the Munsters.
Oh,
I'm sorry, it was
cool.
the Munsters.
That was
Yeah,
an
and it's
iconic
gone.
street in TV. Yes.
It absolutely was. And in fact, those houses showed up in a whole bunch of different TV shows and movies, and they're all gone now. So where are they going to film this?
They need to make originals, no more reboots, prequels, and sequels. Studios need to stop playing safe. I mean, if they're trying to do something in the spirit of the original Desperate Housewives, but with
Yeah,
new
see,
characters,
this is what I'm getting at. I don't want to see anything coming out of Buffy. They'll screw it up. But if they want to do a, a Desperate Housewives like modern story, I don't see a reason that they can't say it takes place in the same universe, on the same in the same neighborhood. It's all different people.
Kerry
You know,
Washington's
there comes,
involved. It's going to be
huh?
Desperate House. Oh, he thinks that because Kerry Washington's involved, it's all going to be they're going to do like a all black women cast. I don't know. He's calling it now. I don't know.
Well, you know,
We'll see.
neighborhoods change. Just
That's
saying.
true. That's true.
You know,
I
we'll
mean,
see how it does. I again, this is one of those things where because it's not an established lore, if they want to change the profile of the neighborhood, don't have a problem with it because
well,
it happens in real life.
it could also be a wisteria lane in another part of the country. There are probably more than one wisteria lanes. Maybe it's just we want to do a thing about
Oh, I see what
housewives
you're
and
saying.
their dark secrets, but we're not going to have it. We'll just have it on a different wisteria lane in another part of the country. I don't know. I don't
Doesn't make a
know.
lot of sense then to call, because then there's no connection other than the name. That would be
That's my guess
pointless.
what they're going to do. So you could
Yeah.
cast whoever you wanted, I guess. I assume they'd have to be rich people though, right? Or at least well-to-do or upper middle class if that exists
Yeah.
anymore.
I don't care. I don't have any problems with this. Am I looking forward to it? If it turns out to be good, I might watch it.
Every city has an Elm Street. Yes, that's
Well,
true. That's
that
why
is
they
that is
picked.
true.
That's probably why Wes Craven picked that name, right? Nightmare on Elm
Yes.
Street. So you think it was in your city, right?
Well, there's where it was filmed, so where I would assume it actually took place, and then there's other cues that imply that it was in the Midwest, so it should be like in the Chicagoland area, maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
maybe. Other big television news.
Yeah, I think I sent this one to you. I don't.
I know more about this show than I care
I
to
didn't
admit.
know
That's
this
all
had
I'm
gone
going to
on for
say.
5 seasons. I'm
It
kind
is
of
the show
shocked.
that doesn't end. And let me tell you something. Don't consider this a victory. It got 5 seasons. That's a success story. Any show that gets 5 seasons, that's a success story, even if it gets canceled after the fifth season. This
Yeah.
is this is this is this is a I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, okay, let me just read the article. I can't. I know more about the show than I can't. I've seen a lot of this show. Okay, don't ask me
Okay.
why.
Okay.
Don't ask. It's personal. I can't get into it. This is my streaming world and my real life combining, and it's not good. Okay, CBS is canceled. The reboot of The Equalizer after 5 seasons, Variety has learned. The series, which is led by Queen Latifah, was the last remaining bubble show at the broadcast network. The season finale airing on May 4th will now serve as a series finale. Now, I will say this. In the old days, we used to have these things called networks, and they would show these big TV shows that people would sit down and watch.
Uh,
And even though I have some qualms with this show, it was the last of these. I think it's one of the last of these types of shows. I guess they
yeah.
still make the NCIS shows. I think
Could be. Could
I
be.
watch NCIS Sydney right now. It's
I don't.
NCIS, but in
I,
Sydney.
I don't watch network terrestrial television really anymore. So
Well, it's one of the. This is one of the last ones. Okay, previously CBS had canceled the fresh and multicam Papa's House, as well as both FBI International and FBI Most Wanted. CBS has also aired a backdoor pilot for potential Equalizer spinoff earlier this season, which is also not moving forward. What was that?
I
Do I
don't know.
remember that episode? Not that I watched it. I would never watch this show. The move to cancel The Equalizer is not altogether surprising, as the show was also on the bubble last season. It is co-produced by... Yeah, you know what else was on the bubble last season but lost? CSI Vegas, which I actually liked. I actually
Uh,
liked CSI Vegas, and they kicked that one off the air because it's
yeah.
basically a sequel to the original CSI. And you know what would happen when they would have a guest member? Like they would have like an older member from the old show. They had a whole new cast, but they'd also have like Grissom showed up for one season, right?
Uh-huh.
And Mark Helgenberger, she showed up another season. And when these old people show up, you know what happens? They're treated with respect, and they work with the new team.
Yeah.
It's not like with where you have to yell at the old timers and say, get out. Never mind. I was making a Star Wars allusion because Luke. Anyway, the move to cancel Equalizers. Okay. Are you upset about a Blue Bloods spinoff Boston Blue has been canceled? Oh, CBS has already ordered. Never mind. CBS already ordered Fire Country spinoff Sheriff Country as well as Blue Bloods spinoff Boston Blue, because Blue Bloods did end, but it's getting a spinoff series Boston Blue. The
Mhm.
Matthew Gray Gubler drama Einstein was also picked up for the next season, but CBS pushed the show to the 2026-2027 season earlier this week. That one I'm kind of interested in. You know the premise for the drama Einstein?
Yeah.
It's about a descendant of Albert Einstein that helps I guess like the police solve crimes. So that might be
Wonderful.
interesting.
Yeah, because it's 99% genetics, and I don't know, whatever.
I don't know. I want numbers back. And I got numbers back when Scorpion came back, and then Scorpion got canceled. That was another CBS cancellation. The Equalizer was a reimagining of the 1980s series with Queen Latifah starring as Robin McCall, a former CIA operative who helped people with nowhere else to turn, and she would kick butt doing it. Do you believe that? She's firing like automatic rifles and kicking using martial arts and stuff, and just, yeah. The series was developed for television by Andrew Marlowe and Terry Miller as based on the original series, co-created by Richard Linden. Did you used to watch the original Equalizer series in the 80s? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I saw a movie called The Equalizer, but
That was the
I
Denzel Washington movie. Yeah, the original series. He wasn't CIA. I think he was ex whatever British spy was or something like MI5 or something or SAS. And it had the greatest television intro for a series I'd ever seen. It's so creepy. I have to send it to you. Because basically, what the intro shows is you see all these regular people walking around, and like there's like a nasty guy waiting in the elevator, or some guy punching someone through like a telephone booth, and it's like showing all the horrible things going on in the city. When no one has anyone to turn, they turn to the Equalizer. Do you understand? So,
yeah.
okay, never mind. Queen
I
Latifah.
I scoffed this show when it first was announced. Never actually saw an episode, so I'm not
Oh,
saying
oh, it's something
anything.
else.
I
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything one way or the other about it. I will say that in preparation for tonight, I did get to see, there's this picture that you're showing here
Yep.
and a
Look at
couple of
that
their
explosion.
promo shots of Queen Latifah, and I'm actually surprised she's a much better looking woman than I would have expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a lot of Hollywood magic that goes into it, and makeup and whatnot. But I'm like, Queen Latifah, I didn't know she was not a bad looking woman.
Yeah, I mean,
But
no,
I
she's
have
been
no
in
idea.
movies. I mean,
I have no idea about the show. It wasn't my thing anyway, so I didn't care one way or the other.
it's not. It had one season that was particularly woke. Now they only do woke episodes once in a while, and not that I've seen it. Not that I've seen it, because I would
Yeah.
never admit to that on a live stream that I might have
Well,
watched this
and
series.
again, things like this, if you're not ignoring what went before, and you have someone else taking over and doing the same thing and whatever, and they're of a different race, a different color, whatever, I don't see a problem with that. It's when you go, I am going to tell this story of this character, but now this character is going to be opposite gender and a different race. It's like, well, then it's not that character anymore.
I mean, there was differentials even in the Denzel Washington movies, but I still felt they were keeping to the spirit of the original
Yeah,
show, because it's Denzel. He's a leading man. And it's, instead of him being British, he's ex CIA, because I think it was like ex British SAS or something like that.
gotcha.
He I forget the actor who played him. I thought Equalizer was a soccer team. Let's move on. I've spent too much time talking about the Equalizer for one lifetime. CBS Trump mediation heats up as Paramount moves towards settlement.
Yeah, this is I don't. It doesn't matter what you think about Trump. This is a matter we need to discuss because it relates to a potentially huge. Well, no, not potentially. It absolutely is a huge pivot point for a major studio, and it's going to have major repercussions on the entertainment industry.
Paramount Global is reportedly preparing to offer a settlement to President Donald Trump in his $20 billion lawsuit against CBS News, signaling a significant shift as mediation between the two parties officially begins. The lawsuit centers on 60 Minutes interview Aired last October, featuring then Vice President Kamala Harris, which Trump alleges was deceptively edited to favor his political opponent during the final stretch of the 2024 election. According to sources cited by Financial Times, Paramount's board discussed financial terms for a potential settlement in a meeting held April 18th. One individual familiar with the matter stated the payout could reach into the tens of millions of dollars. While CBS's legal team has maintained that Trump's defamation case is without merit, Paramount's leadership has shown growing interest resolving the dispute, particularly in light of the ongoing merger efforts with Skydance. They're trying to merge with a.
Yeah. It's like we need to get this off the books so that we can get on with business.
At the center of this legal storm is Sherry Redstone, the billionaire owner of the studio. Though she has officially recused herself from the settlement negotiations, insiders say Redstone has made it known to the board that she supports moving forward with the deal.
Yep.
We can't just be at a standstill. We have to move forward, she reportedly told board members. Redstone's concern stems not only from the lawsuit itself, but from growing unease about CBS's recent editorial tone. According to a person close to Redstone, she has been concerned for a while now about the balance of CBS News.
And herein lies the crux of the problem. The people at CBS are scared to death of this merger. They're doing everything they can to torpedo it because they know that Paramount's going to come in and so many of them are going to lose their jobs.
Listen to this. Her frustration reportedly deepened after a 60-minute segment covering the Israel-Hamas conflict aired in late 2023. Redstone, who is affiliated with organizations that oppose anti-Jewish discrimination, raised her concerns at a public conference last October. She got angry about a segment they aired about that conflict. Further complicating matters is Paramount's proposed $8 billion with Skydance Media. Although Carr's the FCC is currently chaired by Brendan Carr, who was appointed by Trump and is viewed by many as taking a hands-on approach to reviewing corporate media deals. Although Carr has denied the Trump-CBS lawsuit has any attached settlement or influencing the FCC review of Paramount Skydance deal, executives within Paramount reportedly believe the two processes are closely connected. Redstone and her family stand to gain approximately $1 billion if the merger is approved. That's a large chunk of change. Right?
Yep.
So it sounds like she's already annoyed with them anyway, and now it's screwing up the deal. Redstone was so probably rattled after Trump criticized 60 Minutes again on April 13th, following segments about Ukraine and Greenland. She called CBS CEO George Cheeks to inquire about the upcoming content. She wants him to knock it off. She did not ask for edits to stories. All she asked for are they fair and balanced, said a person familiar with the exchange. Her thinking was, we're in the eye of the storm now. He's posting about pieces. So the case we have here against 60 Minutes CBS Paramount is a true winner, he said. This is what Trump said. They cheated and defrauded the American people at levels never seen before in the political arena. CBS is out of control at levels never seen before, and they should pay a big price for this. Make America great again. So WDW Pro had a great video on this too, if you want to post that.
Yeah. Let me do that.
But what do you think of this, though? I stopped watching 60 Minutes years ago, and I used to watch it every Sunday.
Well, we've all been talking about how the ratings are dying because the American public does not trust the media anymore. They assume anything they hear in the media is a lie at this point because it's been proven over and over and over again.
Well, I was terrified, by that 60 Minutes segment on Germany, though, that they aired a little while ago. Did you see any of that?
I didn't. I don't watch anything on terrestrial television anymore. I really don't. And I'm getting all my news from online sources.
Well, for the love of Pete, why don't you pay for a streaming service, huh? There's Hulu. There's Peacock. There's Paramount Plus, where you can watch.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's nothing. There is nothing there that I want, and they're not going to report the news any better than the terrestrial is.
How does Kurtzman Trek still exist? I don't know, because the merger hasn't happened yet. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
While the merger still hasn't happened, we're still going to get Kurtzman Trek.
Yeah. Because right now it's flailing, and nobody can take control of those contracts.
Yeah.
This. The FCC is someone to be dealt with, and if if this doesn't get taken care of soon, CBS is going to have a whole other problem way beyond the merger.
Yeah.
Ask Harvard how they're feeling right now about their tax exempt status. Just saying.
Colleges in general are not doing so hot right now. A lot of these fancy private universities are going under now. Have you heard about
Well,
this?
because their whole flim flam has fallen apart like a house of cards. College was sold as you got to go and you got to spend all this money to get a good education so you can get a good job. And people are coming out going, where's the job? There's only certain jobs that require a good education, a doctor, a lawyer, something where you need that kind of education, but the really good paying jobs, if it's not in those areas, are things like auto mechanic and carpenter, and plumber, garbage man, actual service and trades. And you don't go to college for those, you go to trade schools for those.
Yeah, well, they said they used to have like wood shop and metalworking stuff for kids in high school, and I think they've pared those down, haven't they? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yes, because it is no longer about preparing you for the job market. It is preparing you to be a consumer and to believe their neo-Marxist bull crap.
And the rumor is the heads at Skydance absolutely hate everything about Alex Kurtzman. Yeah, something,
Yeah.
because it's terrible.
Yep.
It's objectively terrible. It's not. I tried with Kurtzman trick. People don't understand. They think I'm a hater. No, I genuinely tried with Discovery.
Yeah.
As I said, okay, there are flaws in this season, but there's also stuff that was interesting, and it's like TNG. TNG was rough the first season. Let's wait and see how and then season 2 got worse.
Yep.
And plus they fired, I think, Mosley, because he was retelling a story where he mentions the N word, even though he's black himself, and he was just repeating what he had heard in some.
He was talking about the N word in the room, and when someone said I didn't feel comfortable about that, it's like, who are you to not feel comfortable about it? I'm the N word in the room.
This guy he was a world renowned television writer. I think he wrote fiction books, and they're kicking him out. I don't understand this. They're getting rid of their talent, and they're just anyway. Last story of the night. Mamoru Oshii. One of my this is kind of going into my old anime geekdom here, because I don't talk a lot about anime on this channel. Plus, a lot of the anime I was into was older, but I became obsessed with the movie Ghost in the Shell. I still consider it the best cyberpunk movie ever made. I don't count Blade Runner because I don't consider that cyberpunk. But anyway, if you'd like to post the link to this last,
I am trying. It's not coming up.
Well, is this Bounty in the Comics?
I shortened it too. I don't know what the problem is.
You don't have to post it. It's Bounty in the Comics. That's where it's coming from. Anyway, but original Ghost in the Shell director blasts rise of political correctness in games and media. There we go.
I can't put the title in.
Don't worry
about it. You can see it on your screen.
Don't worry. The title's right there. So Mamoru Oshii, I have to say, over the years, whenever I see him interviewed, if you go on, this is going back to the early days of the internet when I was trying to learn about anime. There was this website called, I believe it was Nausicaa.net, which was a website for fans of Studio Ghibli movies before they became so popular over here, and I would learn about them. And there was an interview posted with Mamoru Oshii, who was famous for working at his animation studio, Production IG, and making movies like Pat Labor and Ghost in the Shell. And they did an interview with him about these Studio Ghibli movies, and he kept throwing shade at Hayao Miyazaki, who's considered one of the greatest animators of all time. But he was saying stuff like, "Oh, Princess Mononoke is making this movie. How can you make a movie about the removal of the evil sheriff when whenever you remove the evil sheriff, the world becomes worse or something?" He was making some statement like that, and it's like, that's not what that movie was about. You didn't see it.
Yeah.
Never mind. It's funnier if you read it, because he talks about how he and Miyazaki had gotten to a fight, and because they're two creatives with their own ways of doing things. Anyway, the original Ghost in the Shell director blasts rise of political correctness in games and anime. You can't even talk about someone being beautiful or not without being accused of discrimination. In the opinion of Ghost in the Shell anime film director Moro Oshii. While the concept of political correctness may have been born from a place of genuinely good intent, its overemphasis on recent years has had a profoundly detrimental effect on not just entertainment media but society at large. His thoughts turned to this specific topic. The director proceeded to assert political correctness started with the aim of giving legitimacy to socially vulnerable groups, and that's not wrong. In a mature society, that's a natural responsibility, added the Ghost in the Shell lead. However, the problem arose when, starting from that point, they ended up elevating the socially vulnerable to a position of power. They get priority admission to schools and preferential treatment in employment, Oshii continued, before making a surprise reference to the specific operations of narrative consultation companies like Sweet Baby Inc. What's more, there are companies that charge outrageous consulting fees to guide them through the process. Game companies, for example, are being asked to pay millions of dollars by these companies. Bringing his attention back to more specific experiences, the mobile police Pat Labor director then explained, because it directly relates to my work, I have a strong aversion to bringing political correctness into the worlds of games and anime. After all, everyone who plays games wants beautiful or cute characters, he asserted. I'm no different, so why do we have to include unattractive ones? Entertainment is fundamentally built on aspiration, Oshii argued. If you deny that sense of aspiration, you strip away the very foundation of what makes entertainment meaningful. These days, you can't even talk about someone being beautiful or not without being accused of discrimination. Western games have really become terrible, he then declared, all because of political correctness. That's okay. They're going to be charging $80 for them soon. So I'm sorry. Anyway, closing out his thoughts on the matter, Oshii turned to give his opinion on Disney's failed live-action Snow White, telling the outlet, fairy tales are valuable precisely because they can be reinterpreted over and over again. That's the nature of the classics. I've reused Little Red Riding Hood many times myself, saying that only the original version is valid and rejecting all others, that's a problem in its own way. But when those reinterpretations are used as a platform for political messaging, that's a whole different matter. Notably, this is not the first time the director has shared his thoughts on political correctness with PN News, having done so earlier this year for his February 2025 column. Critiquing the twist of the theatrical 2019 CG animated film Dragon Quest: Your Story, wherein it is revealed that the film is not an actual adaptation of Dragon Quest V, but rather an isekai story centered around a real-world protagonist, Oshii declared, people play games because they want to escape reality. That's the whole point of games. If we're making a brief detour to decry, it's the same with political correctness today. Why do we have to bring real-world issues into the world of games, he asked. If the purpose is escapism, then of course you'll only see beautiful girls. That's completely natural. Honestly, I want to ask, why should you have to pay money just to be lectured? As of December 2023, Spencer is the editor. Okay, sorry, that's Pounding the Comics. What do you think?
I think he's right. I think he's absolutely right. Basically what he's getting at is this this snowflake culture is ridiculous, is what it comes down to.
Did you know the origin of the word political correctness, that saying, where that comes from? I didn't realize this. You might have already known this. It was mentioned in the Soviet Union toward the latter days of the Soviet Union, when it says, but this isn't the way things, yes, but it's politically incorrect, not politically correct to make that statement. It was something they used in the Soviet Union to kind of correct
someone. It doesn't surprise me.
It's
when you live in a highly censored society, that's what it begets. It should never be happening here. It should never be happening in a country that prides itself on its First Amendment, an absolute right to express yourself. And I think people need to take their rights very seriously and stand up and say, look, I don't care what you think. You're wrong. And this is why. This is what I think. And if you don't like it, too bad. For example, did you know that this is the most disliked Geeky Geezers in months?
Really?
Yes. We only have 82% likes. We have 28% dislikes on this video. So guys, if you're enjoying it, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. because we're bringing you truth here, and people don't like the truth. Just saying.
Well, it's also because I missed the Jeremy Renner picture earlier, and I agree with that because we should have.
and technical difficulties and all that kind of stuff. It is nothing like a professional operation here, guys.
Look,
I
we,
promise
we
you.
we have our own opinions, and in the Soviet Union unites, the government approves of what is being said as politically correct.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we're moving on. I don't want to say we're moving on yet, but yeah.
But we're moving on.
So that's it for tonight. What do we have going on this week? Is there a reserved seats with deleted scenes tonight?
I don't think so. Deleted, let us know. I
Yeah.
was unable to find one to forward the viewers to. Otherwise, I would have set that up. I don't think there is, or at least there wasn't as of the time that we went live. Hey, Clue, good to see you, my friend. But yeah. So as far as tonight, I don't know. We'll wait on deleted, but tomorrow afternoon, those of you that are able to, at noon Central, 1 Eastern, I'm going to be doing a 1 hour afternoon chat show starting tomorrow called Liquid Lunch with Last Call. And the first episode is going to be tomorrow, and we're going to keep it casual. I've got some things that I want to rant about, but I'll save them for later in the week. Let's just kind of have a chill stream and introduce you to the show tomorrow afternoon. Hope you can have lunch with me. I will be drinking. And Monday night, members can join me at an early time this week, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, because we're going to be watching a little bit longer film. We're going to be no reserved seats tonight. Okay,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
No, tomorrow night, you were saying.
Tomorrow night, the film is the fan edit of the Hobbit, the Peter Jackson Hobbit trilogy. They call it the book edit because they edit out all the crap that isn't part of the original story and make it as close as you can get to the original book. Thank you so much, Nate. Every Geeky Geezers is my favorite Geeky Geezer. Thank you, my friend. You are an incredible supporter, and couldn't do it without you, my friend.
So we're not going to hear the ballad of Frodo with the 9 fingers?
Frodo with the 9 fingers. Well, that was Return of the King, but yeah. So it is a little over 4 hours. I think it's like 4.5 hours, but that's still better than the whatever it was, like 9 hours of the original trilogy. So that's what you guys voted for, and that's what we will be watching. Members, it's already posted. You guys should be able to see it. I will remind you guys on the community tab as well. If you're not a member and you would like to become one, you can become one for as little as $2 a month. And you can hang out with us on Mondays and watch a movie with us, and you even get input on what movie we will be watching. However, this week there won't be a vote. Next week, I am making an executive decision. The movie 1 week from tomorrow will be The Big Lebowski with special guest Aged Boomer. It's been too long. It's been too long. Everyone's been talking about it. Everyone's been telling me I should see this movie. I've been wanting to see this movie.
Yes.
Boomer wanted to be there for it, and he is available next week. So
it's very funny.
We're gonna watch The Big Lebowski regular time.
But Jeff Bridges gets a lot of attention, but John Goodman is also excellent in this movie.
That's what I've heard. I've heard.
So,
in fact, Jeff Bridges himself has said that. So
everyone's good in it, to be fair. I even the smaller actors. It's a perfect almost a
Was
perfect.
Woody Harrelson also in that movie?
I don't remember. I know Steve Buscemi has a smaller part in it. I think John Turturro I think shows up in it too as
I wouldn't be
as
surprised.
a as a competitive bowler. We'll get into it next week. I don't want to say anything. All right.
Curtis hasn't seen it
All
either,
right.
but
I
he's
Well,
haven't
wanted to.
seen
Yeah,
it.
good.
I saw it
Good.
on the big screen
We'll
when it
watch it
first
next
came
week.
out, actually, and I was
We'll watch it next week.
busting a gut in the theater. That's how
So
yeah.
Tuesday, we will be returning to Sparkwood and 21. What is we haven't decided on a topic yet? Deleted scenes. You gotta let me know so I can get a thumbnail done. But it'll be Lynchian Twin Peaks related. Oh, Woody Harrelson isn't in it. Okay. We'll be talking Twin Peaks and David Lynch in some capacity at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Deleted Scenes channel on Tuesday. Followed immediately thereafter on my channel for the return of Blake 7, the premiere episode of season 3. I will end the cliffhanger, and you guys will get to see what happened to the Liberator and her crew after the fight with the invading armada. So that is Tuesday, and it should go without saying that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will be having liquid lunch all week this week at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Netters Network on Thursday. That's 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netters Network. Very special guest who's here in the chat. Who is that, Netter?
That will be Curtis Selby promoting his brand new channel. Nothing to see here, citizen.
Nothing to see here, citizen. Which seems like a bad marketing ploy for his channel, but we will talk about that on Thursday. Nothing to see here on Thursday. No. Followed immediately thereafter by Deleted Scenes Coming Attractions on his channel, where he'll take us through the rest of his weekend. Friday, remind me, I believe you have a Films with Friends, Big Al and Deleted Scenes. I believe that's Marooned on Friday evening, something like that. Let us know. But then immediately after that, maybe not immediately after it, on my channel, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, Last Call with Troy Pacelli, Aged Boomer, Netters Network, and maybe someone else. We're not committing to a topic yet because I got to see if I can pull in a guest we've been trying to get. His time has freed up, but it may be short notice. We'll see. Not as short a notice
Keeping our
as he
fingers
gave me
crossed
on
that we'll have a
Saturday.
special guest. Yes.
No. I'm going to leverage this a little bit because I say this is short notice, but he gave me even less short notice on Saturday. Saturday morning, I wake up and I see a note from him. Hey, can you be available this evening for a show? And I'm like, damn, okay, let me make this. And this was when I was literally on a stream with Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips on his Rumble channel. I'm like, I'm literally in a stream right now. Yes, I will make myself available to you. So I'm gonna twist his arm a little bit on that one.
Yes.
But there's no promises. He may not be able to make it. So we'll see what the topic is going to be on Friday. Whatever it is, I'll be drinking. And then Saturday evening, Retro Cinema on Netters Network, 9 o'clock Central, 10 Eastern. We'll be watching, I want to call it a Tarantino film, but it's not. Yes, I know. She's doing the charades over here. I want to call it a Tarantino film, but it's not truly a Tarantino film. It is an anthology film in which Tarantino is involved. All-star cast, 4 rooms, Tim Ross, ties all the rooms together as the bellboy in a hotel. It is
The job from hell.
It is yeah. It's his first night on the job, probably his last night. Very funny. I love this movie. Great soundtrack by Combustible Edison. Yeah, that's the rewatch on Netters Network on Saturday. The mystery movie night podcast live on Tuesday at 7 Eastern. But of course, he doesn't know what the movie is, so he can't tell us that. Films with Friends on Friday. There's the link.
Oh, great.
And waiting on my disability check. Hello, people. Just got home from drinking beers at Hooters in Pasadena, Texas. I remember Hooters when I was in college and Netter and I were dating. I used to go to Hooters at lunchtime with a buddy of mine. Used to go and drink, because I was in the middle of classes, I would drink non-alcoholic beer to go with my hot wings. I love those hot wings.
They had great wings at Hooters, yes.
So double dated with this buddy of mine, and obviously I was dating Netter at the time, and he said, hey, well, let's just go to Hooters. And Netter was like, and I'm like, I don't know. Hooters is fine. They got great hot wings and whatnot. Come to find out that Hooters is a very different place in the evenings than it is in the afternoons.
Really?
Yeah, the waitress really ticked me off by continually pushing her boobs in Troy's face. And I said, so I just looked at her and said, so honey, I'm the one paying the check. You're going to push your boobs in my face too? And she just kind of gave me this look, backed up from Troy, and then strutted away. She did not receive a tip.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know what. But now I hear that you can get drive-through or curbside for those wings at Hooters. So
Okay.
Might have to go back for because I miss those. I really did like those Hooters hot wings. They were really, really good.
But, the wings are there good. All right.
I've tried making them at home, and I've never made them quite the same way. It's just not the
They're
same.
special there.
It really isn't. But thank you so much, Deleted, dropping all those links. You just dropped the Retro Cinema link as well. You're Johnny on the spot with those links.
He's blue wrenching.
He really is. Super appreciate it, my friend. That is the week, guys. Want to thank you all so much. It can be a bit disheartening when I do see that maybe some people stopped by, didn't like what we had to say, and hits the thumbs down. But it's really you guys that are still here and who are hitting the like button and sharing it out and super chatting and membering and all the other things you guys do to support us. Honestly, I am not at all exaggerating when I say I could not do this if it weren't for you guys. I depend on you. Hopefully you can depend on us for entertainment and information. Has anyone seen Thunderbolts yet? How is it? I have not.
Steven has.
Deleted Scenes has a review up, and so does Big Al over at Big Al Presents. So I would definitely. In fact, Deleted, if you could drop links for waiting on my disability benefits, drop a link to your review and to Big Al's review. I would greatly appreciate that. And don't forget to go check Criticlist as well, criticlist.com. A lot of other great reviews over there as well. That's it from me. It's been a night.
All right.
It's been a night. I am not promising anything on the outro. There may or may not be closing credits. Don't know. We'll see.
Good night, y'all.
Take care, everyone. See you later. Bye-bye.